I am live. Let's just double check. Okay, we're live. And Ardent says, I'm not dead. Well, that's good. I'm glad you're not dead, Ardent. Ardent having some medical issues. I don't know how much he wants me to say. I don't really know that much. Feel better, Ardent. Dedicate this stream to you and your recovery. How about that? So this is the Ardent stream. The Ardent stream is rolling, and the health of the stream is, let's see, stream health is good. It's healthy. So then Ardent will be healthy. I've declared it. All right. So, started a little early. That's okay. That's okay. I like to start early so I could talk about my week. How was your week, Joan? I know your week. You're a bossy little dog that makes me take you out for WALK. What did I do this week? All right. So Tuesday I had to pick up my parents from the airport. That's what that that's what that symbol means on my calendar. Looking at my calendar. Thursday I went to the farmstead. That was my I think it was my second visit to the farmstead. They really like me there. I'm going back again. So that should be fun. I got to keep coming up with new talks. they like my talks. Friday I finally got to Unexpected Farm. Unexpected. And it was sort of unexpected because it friggin' poured maybe about 90 minutes before I had to do that event, and it was outside. So it didn't look good. I mean, when I say it was pouring, like it was coming down in sheets. I couldn't see outside my windows because there was so much rain. And then it just stopped and the sun came out for an hour, and I was like, oh my God, I guess we're doing this. And it turned out the weather was actually pretty nice, but because it had rained so hard, everybody assumed, I think, that the show would not happen. What the hell, dog? Come here. All right, you can come over here. Until I can't stand it anymore. So that was Friday. And then Saturday, of course, I Heart Horror got postponed because of rain. And it didn't rain at all. Like, it was literally sunny all day. But it was supposed to rain. It was supposed to rain all week. It was supposed to rain today. The forecast in the beginning of the week was calling for rain all weekend. And we didn't get a drop. Not a single drop. We did get some clouds, and I got a little worried at one point. But for the most part, it was great. Today was Mayfest at Historic Smithville Park, and that went really well. Man, I got to keep doing the Historic Smithville shows. They are awesome. And tomorrow I'm doing the Atlantic County Historical Society's Author Night. Author Night. So that's going to be fun. And that's my week. It was a big week. Big week. I got new books, and I already got to order more, I think. How about that, Joan? How about that? That's a good problem to have. Oh, all right. So, Joan, how many times did she poop in the house this week? That's about all I can give on updates or you, Joan. I think only once or twice. But Joan has, in general, been a pest. All right, Joan, you like to be a pest. But we will look at the box office. I was a little late getting back and eating dinner and kind of like put myself into a food coma for a half hour. So I forgot to send out notices to people that the show was happening, but I just put them up about 15 minutes ago. So maybe somebody will see them. I don't know. The algorithm hates me, I think, sometimes. Nobody sees my stuff. You know, when they see it the next day. You know, I go to these shows, I post, hey, I'm at the show. Blah, 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 blah. Nobody sees it. Next day, I get, upvote. Oh, great. Glad you're at a show. Oh, it was yesterday. Anyhow. Oh, Indie Phantom is here. Horror is back on top, baby. All right, let's take a look. It is happening? Or you wrote it's us happening. I think you meant it is happening. All right, yeah, horror's back on top with Final Destination Bloodlines. Now, I'm not a fan of the Final Destination franchise. I think it's like pretty basic B horror, but that being said, I gotta say the Bloodlines take is an improvement because by tying it into a family, kind of gives the franchise more of a history that you can draw from, and that's what they did on that. So I think that's an improvement. So good on them. 51 million. That's not bad. Thunderbolts holding on to number 2. Surprisingly, I thought this was going to drop to 3. So dropping by 49. So it's going down at about the normal rate. It's ideal for the TikTok era. Thunderbolts. JEC is here. Hi, hi, hi. Thunderbolts is number 2 with, let's see what the money looks like. Yeah, 325 million. This, I don't think there's any way this thing makes its money back. Now, it made its budget back, but for profitability's sake, they're saying at least 400 million. I don't think they're going to make that. And for a Marvel movie, it should be doing much better. It could have easily done much better, I think. For those of you just tuning in, Indie Phantom and JEC, Ardent is in the hospital, but he is not dead. He is in good spirits. He said he is goodish. I talked to him briefly on X, so just wanted to say once again, Godspeed to Ardent. So he said, it sounds like he's going to make a full recovery, but he had a thing. Indie Phantom, Thunderbolts in relation to the other MCU, very bad. Yes. It might, though, beat Captain America 4, perhaps, but that's a very low bar. It didn't do as bad as Marvel's, but that's an even lower bar. And this was a dumb idea. It was just a dumb IP to bring out. Thunderbolts should have been the West Coast Avengers. That would have been the way to go. JC, what happened to Ardent? Vaxxed? I don't think he was vaxxed. I'm almost sure he wasn't. He didn't seem the type. He had a picture of himself on X with the little monitors on his chest. So he may have had some sort of incident, I don't know. Or maybe he fell down, I don't know. Indie Phantom, oh no, hope Ardent recovers. Yes, I think he is. He came in just to post I'm not dead on the stream, but I assume oh, there he is. Ardent, I'm listening in. Got a 3-ish hour wait for double check blood test. Oh, okay. So, are you doing good? I hope you're doing well. Indie Phantom, crap IP. Yeah, I mean, the story itself from the comics is really good for Thunderbolts, if you haven't read the original one. Ardent had either a cardiac thing or food poisoning. Well, I hope it's the latter, because you don't want the former. You can have a million of the latter, I think. Well, unless it really goes sideways. But you don't want a lot of the former. So hopefully you're good. Yeah, so Thunderbolts originally was a great comic. They announced it. They kept the plot under wraps. It was Kurt Busiek, I believe. And then they launched this superhero team, and then later they reveal that all the members of the team are actually supervillains in disguise, and they had created superhero personas for themselves in order to get in with the superheroes and, create some evil plot. It, of course, all goes belly up, and the heroes win, but the story was so popular, Marvel figured out some way to keep the IP going. I'm not even sure if they're still publishing it, but they might be. And eventually they swapped out the villains, I guess. So they kind of, the movie guys decided, I think this was going to be their Suicide Squad. Why you would want to ape the Suicide Squad over at DC, which, I mean, I have many thoughts on that. A great comic, by the way, another great comic. However, very dependent, like Thunderbolts, on the comics themselves and the universe that exists. So, Ardent, thank you. Indie Phantom, put Florence Pugh, who? In something sexier, and I would go. Yeah, me too. Put her in a string bikini for the entire movie. Say that her superpower is she's surrounded by a force field and is totally impervious, but she has to let her skin breathe in order to make that power work. There you go. But yeah, so all they did was take the IP, scoop up all the B-list heroes that already existed in the MCU that didn't have a movie, and slap it together. So, again, if they had turned this, if they had called it the West Coast Avengers, would have had a slightly better chance. I think you could have dumped some of the characters. For instance, I definitely would have dumped David Harbour's character. I can't stand him. Number one, I don't think his character really adds much. And, he's nothing. Florence, but see, they just picked these characters because these were the stars they had that had these characters in the MCU. Justice, Indie Phantom, I thought Suicide Squad was just some James Gunn wankery. No, it actually was a big comic. I believe John Ostrander, I know he wrote it. He may have created it. The premise of the Suicide Squad was, so super villains get thrown in jail, but somehow they're always getting out, right? This is the idea behind the comic. How do they keep getting out? Well, it turns out the U.S. government goes to these individuals with superpowers, the villains, and says, you're never getting out of jail. However, if you do this suicide mission for us, we'll cut you free. And so these villains do the mission, and then they get to go free, is the idea. And they took initially a bunch of D-list supervillains that nobody really cared about, and I think Amanda Waller was created for the series, and then they started rotating in the bigger villains eventually, but not too big. Like, they wouldn't rotate in the Joker, but I think the Penguin was used in one of the stories. I think, I want to say Killer Croc was in it. Harley Quinn, I don't even think Harley Quinn was in the DC universe when the comic was created. The old Harley Quinn would have been, but she was never used in the comics. It wasn't until the cartoon revived her as the Joker's girlfriend. Initially, Harley Quinn was an alternate version of the Joker, and she was the Joker's daughter in an alternate DC Earth where the Joker was dead, I guess, and it was the new Batman, and Harley Quinn was the daughter of the Joker. Indie Phantom, most comics I read had Betty and Veronica on the cover in bikinis. Where is that movie? Yeah, good question. Good question. JC, Harley was created for the cartoon. But yes, there was a Harley Quinn in the DC universe. They owned the IP, and then she was reimagined for the cartoon, like they do with a lot of characters. So there was a Harley Quinn who was the daughter of the Joker, but she was only in like one story, I don't know, 40 years ago, some ridiculous time frame. And they never really used her. So they brought her back as the Joker's girlfriend. is my understanding. But I've gotten these things wrong before, and JEC always seems to correct me. Um, but the new creation was definitely way popular. And then later, probably Harley got to be in the comic, but when the Suicide comic was initially created, I don't think she was in the regular comic run. Um, so yeah, that's the story of Thunderbolts. It's a movie that cannot work with the current lineup in the MCU, and it wouldn't have worked anyway because they, unlike the comic industry, which managed to keep a lid on that story until the comic came out, the movie industry would have somehow had to have shot it and cast the same people who had played the villains. Baron Zemo was one of the Thunderbolts originally, by the way. He's in the MCU, but nobody really knows who he is. They would have had to have had like a fake casting list and then somehow flipped it later. Indie Phantom watched a sexy 1992 spring break comedy called Can It Be Love? So much TNA I felt drunk by the end. Nice. Ardent. Suicide Squad lineup I remember is CPT, Boomerang. Yes, Boomerang was regular. Deadshot, he was a regular. Bronze Tiger, he was regular. Black Orchid, at least semi-regular. But I don't recall who else. Flag was the liaison. Yeah. And Amanda Waller. Indie Phantom, I hear Fantastic Four is in jeopardy. Reshoots. Yes. Reshoot. Who reshoots their movie 2 weeks before it comes out? That is no bueno. That is like the biggest no bueno ever. If you're reshooting 2 weeks before the damn movie comes out, what the hell are you reshooting at this point? The only explanation I can think of is they looked at the returns of Thunderbolts, originally had the Thunderbolts in as very important characters in the Fantastic Four, at least in context, and then decided, oh no, we don't want them in this movie at all now. So they're scrambling to cut the Fantastic Four or the Thunderbolts out of the Fantastic Four. That's all I can think of. That they made them too important. Because keep in mind, they did this wacky thing where they called them the New Avengers and changed the title of the movie. And that went nowhere. Like, literally nowhere. So, JC, it's coming out in 2 weeks. They're probably filming a stinger for the end credits. Possibly, says JEC. When is this thing coming out? Or maybe they meant 2 months. Fantastic Four First Steps. I think it comes out in July. Actually. Yeah, July. So 2 months. Sorry. Still, that's not a lot of time. Indie Phantom. 2 weeks? That happened with Days of Thunder back in 1990. Really? I don't know. Initially, I read an article that I vaguely remember reading an article that I thought said 2 weeks. Maybe they meant 2 weeks until they start showing it to certain people. You know? Because 2 months ahead of time, maybe they start the screenings for the critics to get the word out in time. Indie Phantom, baby steps. But Fantastic Four looks like an S show anyway. I absolutely cannot stand Pedro Pascal now. I just can't stand him. He's this exact same in everything, and he's not great. Like, Samuel L. Jackson is the same in every movie, but at least initially, he was fun. He has good energy. Pedro Pascal is just there. I don't get why people go nuts for him. He's just there. He just says the lines. He's not awful, but like, he doesn't really bring much to the table for me. I saw him in that Nicolas Cage movie where Nicolas Cage plays himself. The it has that impossibly long title. Um, and he's in it. Pedro Pascal is in it as the millionaire that brings him to an island, and he's, Nicolas Cage needs the money, and he pays him a bunch of money. But he's not great. He's just there. Indie Phantom, same with Pedro. I just want to avoid him. Yeah, and female Silver Surfer, F you, Marvel. Seriously, F you. That is one character you should have never touched. Hell, you could have flipped the sex of Galactus. I'd accept that before you flip the sex of the Silver Surfer. Come on, you knuckleheads. And I already know this is going to be a girl boss movie. It's going to be Sue Storm leading the team and telling everybody what to do. 100% that's what it's going to be, which is the complete opposite of how it was originally envisioned. Yeah, there's no way. Sue was always in trouble and had to be saved a lot of times. She had superpowers, but a lot of times she had to be saved. No, I'm not tuning in for that. I'm going to wait for the nerds to review it. I'm going to watch that. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy Nerdrotic going nuts and pulling his hair out, talking about how stupid it is. Or how it's okay, but I really didn't like the changes they made, kind of thing. I don't know. Just looks terrible. I mean, they got Galactus right. How do you get Galactus right and then screw up the Silver Surfer? It's nuts. It's nuts how much stuff they can't get right in Fantastic Four. Are they going to have this many problems trying to do the Pineys? Let me say again, if I'm speaking to you from beyond the grave, follow the books. Ugh. But they won't. Hollywood doesn't know how to follow directions. They just change things to change them, so they can take credit. See? The Fantastic Four was a hit. Why? Why was that one a hit and not all the other Fantastic Fours? Well, I made all these changes. Look at all the changes I made. See? I made those. It's pathetic. Pedro Pascal at least should have shaved for the damn movie. If he had shaved, I would have given him a little bit of respect. I would have said, well, he's trying to look like Reed. Reed is clean shaven. He doesn't have a mustache. To keep the mustache on Pedro Pascal, he can't shave the mustache off for one movie? Filbert, Coffee Esquire is here. She was invisible because the gamma rays accentuated characteristics that they already had. Reed smart, Ben strong, Johnny a hothead, Sue not wanting to get in the way. Indie Phantom, how many chances will they give FF? I don't know. It's the sad thing is this. First off, Jack Kirby was a genius. Read the old FF and you'll see why. You'll see why from the moment you read one issue, you'll go, oh my God, this is amazing. I had heard for years about Kirby. I had never read his stuff. And then one year I was at a comic book convention, and I do many of them, and I picked up a Fantastic Four in a quarter bin somewhere. I was like, oh, a Fantastic Four written by Jack Kirby. I've heard so much about him. Let me read an issue, see what all the hubbub is. And I read it, and let me tell you something. I wanted to read every issue after I read that one issue. That's how good it was. The pacing is breathless. He goes from one thing to the next. The characters are driving forward, and they're having all these issues. I mean, it is like a soap opera on a rocket ship. It's just boom. And everything's happening, and it ends on a cliffhanger the real way comics should end on a cliffhanger. He was the best, Kirby. And if you read Fantastic Four, you'll see why. His Fantastic Four. But when you read that, you understand why everybody else, including the comic guys, can't even hold a candle. The only guy who even came close was John Byrne. John Byrne did a pretty good run on the Fantastic Four. He couldn't get the pacing, but it was pretty good. Pretty much everybody else never even came close. Kirby's. So what they should have done, Disney could have put it in as a Disney Plus show. Would have been fantastic. Hour episodes, do 10 of them, build to a movie, maybe do 2 seasons and then build to a movie. But it still would have been very expensive. And the characters in the Marvel Universe should have been one of the first ones. It should have been like Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Avengers. Instead, we got Iron Man, and then it kind of rolled out differently. That's why the Fantastic Four are so important in the comics, in the old days anyway, to the Marvel Universe. Every time there was a big crossover, Reed Richards would be there leading things because he's the smartest man. That's why he was instrumental in Secret Wars and all the big crossovers where all the characters appeared. They can't do that because now they've introduced them last. The only smart thing they've done in this movie is they put them in an alternate universe where they can be very important and famous, and this is why the characters already in the MCU haven't even heard of them. But that's only going to get them so much. I don't think the movie's good. It's just not going to work. It's going to crash and burn, and then they're going to be in real trouble for Doomsday. I mean, they're going to be in very big trouble for Doomsday, I say. Filbert, I thought Kirby just did the art. No. He was a genius. He really was. I don't say that about anybody, but he was a creative genius. And the word is, everybody at Marvel who worked with him or knew him and was a colleague would go to him as a mentor to see, Jack, what do you think of this idea? Jack, what do you think of this scene? Because he was that good. And they all knew if he liked it, it was good. JC, I was like that with Kirby when I read a random issue of Devil Dinosaur. It was dinosaur versus aliens versus giant ants. Amazing. Yeah, he can make anything work. I got an issue of Commandy, it's Commandy, the Last Boy on Earth. I think it's the subtitle, where he's in a post-apocalyptic world. An IP they haven't ruined yet, by the way, but they could bring him in. I mean, they could do it. And it's amazing. Kirby was in World War II. He was in The Greatest Generation. And there were, scenes of Commandy, like, putting together gadgets and stuff. And it really felt like, Kirby knew what the heck he was doing. And he used to do comics for the Army that, were partially, how to, like, do instructions and stuff for certain things in the Army. JC, Commandy was Jack ripping off Planet of the Apes. I like Commandy, though. It's good. I don't know. Planet of the Apes, meh. Planet of the Apes was always lame to me, except the first movie. First movie, brilliant. You see the first movie and you're like, oh my God. Then you start seeing the other stuff and you're like, okay, I get it. But really, the big revelation's in the first movie, and then it's done. And then it's just like, how many times can we beat this dead horse? And like, Charlton Heston's in the second movie. He actually signed a contract that said he'd only do the sequel if they destroyed the Planet of the Apes at the end. But they found a way to bring it back. JC, I think it was Will Eisner did stuff for the Army. I think Kirby did too. I'm almost sure. I don't know. It's been a while. The saddest thing about Kirby was after he died, they put together, for his funeral, a little pamphlet like you get in the funerals. And they had a little bit of his art on it. Nothing original. It was just, a couple of Xerox things that were in the I think one of them was a self-portrait. And that day, the day of his funeral, those pamphlets were up on eBay and collectors were trying to sell them. I was like, that's ghoulish. That's a bit much. So even in the end, they tried to make Jack a collectible. All right, getting back to the box office. Sinners drops to 3, just behind Thunderbolts. And it's in its 5th week, and it only dropped by 30%. This thing has legs all friggin' day. I gotta see this movie. I cannot wait to see it, quite frankly. I'll be shocked if it sucks. If it sucks, then Ryan Coogler has a fan following that's unbelievable. So it's definitely in the black, so to speak. And so this is all good for Sinners. I'd be shocked if they didn't do some kind of sequel or other movie. So Coogler's in good shape for a while. And Michael B. Jordan, I mean, the guy can act. You got to give him that. JC, Jack died in 1994. They didn't have eBay back then. Well, then the internet, whenever they sold it. I remember that specifically. I know that's true. LeMay is here. Hi, LeMay. Good to see you. Ardent is, for those of you who joined late, Ardent is sick. Bit of an issue. He had to go in the hospital, but he popped in here a couple of times. He seems to be okay. He's recovering and having some tests done. So we all wished him well. JC probably sold them at at conventions. No, it had to be online. That was the only way I heard about it. Had to be. 94. Where would they have sold them otherwise if it wasn't online? Online existed in 94. It just was super primitive. Maybe I read it in an article in Comic Buyer's Guide about that, because I think Comic Buyer's Guide was still coming out. LeMay says, I hope for his speedy recovery. I'm sure he's thankful. He may be tuning in and out. I'm not sure. I think he's still at the hospital now getting some tests done. But Sinners, did anybody see this movie yet? Because I'm anxious to know that it's to be confirmed as worth seeing. Number 4 is a Minecraft movie, which I sort of want to see. I'm just kind of mildly interested in all the hubbub. Storebang is here. Prayers for Ardent Party. Good for you. Yes. I'm sure he appreciates that. All right, Joan, I'm going to put you on the ground. Want to go back to your seat? There you go. Sit there for a while. Or you want to get down? You going to be good? Yeah. Minecraft. I don't think this is going to make $1 billion. It's at 925, but it's really slowed down. I knew you'd start barking. All right, I'm going to put you on the ground. Hey, go away. Minecraft movie. It's only about just shy of 6 million. I don't see there's any way Minecraft movie can make $1 billion, but I'm sure the studio execs would really like it if it did. Maybe it could make it up in like DVD, Blu-ray. And I think if they put some sort of patch or extra game for Minecraft on a DVD or Blu-ray or whatever, and package it with the movie, I think they could easily make up that 70 million. There's Ardent. Indie Phantom. Haven't seen Sinners. Might when it hits the bay. Ardent, thank you. Just lurking and listening, dozing while I wait. Rest up. Yeah, but I don't think this could make $1 billion just in theaters. But they're definitely going to do another one of these. I'd be shocked if they didn't do a second one of these. And it looks so stupid and lame, but it doesn't look hard to do. I don't know why they didn't announce it for next year, quite frankly. There's a rumor going around. I don't know if I'll have an article on it. I think I saw it on X that Jack Black is being considered for one of the characters in Gears of War, which is a weird casting choice. Because if you know anything about Gears of War, it's kind of all action. And I'm not sure how you would do a Gears of War movie without making it insanely full of action. Indie Phantom, Minecraft I avoided because Jack Black is on my blacklist with Pedro and Ruffalo. I kind of can't blame you because Jack has gotten so annoying. Mark Ruffalo, though, I'll tell you, after watching Zodiac, I was like, wow, he's really a good actor when he wants to be. I haven't fully blacklisted him. He actually has a new series, limited series, coming up on HBO called Task that I looked at the trailer for. It looks decent. It's like a crime thing, but it takes place in Philadelphia, so I might watch it just because I like to watch stuff that takes place locally to see if I recognize any of the locations or if they actually shot it there or if they just effed around and shot it in like Vancouver and pretended it was Philadelphia. But yeah, I get it. I mean, he is kind of insufferable too. The Accountant 2 drops to 5 from 4, just shy of 5 million. Indie Phantom, Ruffalo was good 20 years ago, yes. I like his take on the Hulk, though. I do like his Bruce Banner. And I really didn't want to like it. I thought Ed Norton got shafted. I wanted to see him, but apparently, I think the rumor was Robert Downey pulled the strings to get Ruffalo in that movie. Storebang, my love for Jack Black as an entertainer far exceeds my dislike of his politics. I grew tired of his shtick. I really liked him in Tropic Thunder, and I wish he'd do more movies like that, where they were just straight up comedies. But he even in Tropic Thunder, he's basically just the same guy. He's just a caricature of the guy he normally plays. He's okay in School of Rock. I kind of liked him in King Kong. I mean, nobody likes that movie. I thought it was a perfectly fine adaptation of King Kong. But, and he's, again, Jack Black, but I don't know. Indie Phantom. He was boring as Hulk. Part of that's not his problem, though. Part of the problem with the Hulk in the MCU is Marvel doesn't own it all. It's partially licensed, which is why the rumor goes you don't really see much of the Hulk in Endgame, or at least what was the lead up to Endgame. Because they wanted to try to keep the Hulk out as much as possible until they got to the main story where they had to put him in. And if the Hulk isn't in Secret Wars, I mean, that would be an outrage. But Indie Phantom, the best Jack Black for me was supporting in High Fidelity. Yeah, that's a pretty good movie, I guess. See, there's John Cusack. He's one I can't see anymore. I used to love John Cusack, and I feel almost betrayed by... I can't even call what he believes politics anymore. I think he's lost his mind. His politics, you think some of these other guys have politics. Like John Cusack is this close from leading a cell in Antifa. I mean, he is off the reservation with his opinions. And I remember seeing him back in John Roberts, and there was some interview around that time, and he seemed like a really reasonable guy, but he was kind of like, very wary of the corporate world and oligarchs. And I thought, oh, okay, here's a guy who's, worried about that kind of thing. Oh man, he's ready to dig out a bunker somewhere. The way he talks sometimes. I think he's full of it. That's part of the other reason I just can't see him the same way anymore. Storebang, his performance in Nacho Libre is non-parallel. He is good in that. That is a good Jack Black movie because he's not his normal shtick. Yes, I agree with you. He should do more of that too. And it's a straight up comedy. Indie Phantom, yeah, luckily Cusack not around except on X or something. He was in a couple of B movies as the villain, which is a place they've been dumping older leading guys these days. You know how they did it to Bruce Willis eventually, right before he ended his career. And even Stallone just did one recently where he's the bad guy. But then Cusack as the bad guy, if you could possibly imagine it. It's weird. I saw the trailer. Didn't see the movie. Yeah, what happened to that guy? I think he was always that way, but like so many people were just broken by Trump. They cannot imagine a world. They cannot accept him. They just can't. And it breaks something in them that impacts everything downstream from that. And they're just never the same. It's weird. You see Bruce Springsteen. Bruce friggin' Springsteen. Here's a guy who his whole career was supposed to be about singing songs for the working man. And now I can't think of a bigger phony in music. I can't. Now, I got my fill of Bruce back in the 80s when he was popular because I live in New Jersey and you could not turn on the radio, and we used to listen to radio in the 80s without hearing Born to Run. I mean, almost every time. It was like a running gag. You would literally get in the car and go, if I hear Born to Run again, I'm going to punch the radio. And you'd turn it on and it would be, baby, we were born to run. Every friggin' time. And he's got TDS bad. He was just in the UK giving a concert where he fell down, by the way. He's in his 70s. And then he got up and, I don't know, he went on some tirade about Trump. Storebang, that sucks. Better Off Dead is one of my favorites. That is a good movie. I like it more, though, for Booger from Revenge Against the Nerds. He's great. I wish he would be in more movies. Indie Phantom, my Facebook feed proves that Trump has the power to break minds. He really does. I know a few people. I can't talk. I used to talk politics. I had a policy of talking politics with almost anybody. Very few exceptions. Now, I had my own like craziness along those lines, but for the most part, I tried to talk about it, and I reached a point where I felt like, oh yeah, I can have an adult discussion about politics. You can't anymore. I defy you to have one. Because the moment you get somebody in the room who hates Trump, they are so irrational, you cannot even present them with the facts. You can't. To this day, they are arguing over stuff that happened during the first administration. That has been well documented. We all know what's true and what's not true. And these people still believe the news narrative that they originally heard. Indie Phantom, remember Frankie Goes to Hollywood remade Born to Run? I don't remember that. LeMay, my coworker still believes he is Mustache Guy. Oh, right. Took me a sec. Yeah. Well, so the big news today, I'm going off the rails here, but whatever. A couple of days ago, if you watch Tim Pool, I don't really watch Tim. That his show goes on forever now, but I used to watch his news clips all the time. So he had Adam Conover on his show, and if you don't know who Adam Conover is, he used to do this show. Oh gosh, I want to say it was on the Discovery Channel or like one of those channels where it was called Adam Explains It or something like that. It was a show where he would explain stuff, complicated things, or it was almost like Mythbusters, but it was different. Where he would just, I think it was called Adam Explains Things or Adam Ruins Everything. Maybe it was Adam Ruins Everything. And it turns out he's got really bad TDS. He's total liberal. And so he's on the Tim Pool podcast. I'm not sure why. And they had to explain to him the Trump thing about the very fine people hoax. Now, this has been widely debunked. It's even been debunked by Snopes, which is a very liberal outfit, hates Trump, and, nailed him on a bunch of stuff that wasn't true and would smear him all day long if they could. But even Snopes admitted, yes, this is a hoax. There were quotes taken out of context, and that's why the rumor started, essentially. And Tim presented. He had articles. He posted. He's on the show live, showing him the proof, and Adam just pretends like, well, that's not really what I'm interested in. We were having a conversation. Why are we talking about this? Like, he pretends, and he will not acknowledge what he believes as being untrue. And it's just crazy. JC, I thought the big news today was Biden has multiple cancers. Well, I don't know if that's big news. I mean, if he was going to die of cancer, he'd probably die of dementia first, I think. But yeah, he has very aggressive cancer. But he may have had that a while. And I've been told by some of my older relatives, if you get cancer in your 80s, the doctors say, yeah, just go home. They stop screening you for cancer in your 80s, apparently. Because they just don't see it as, because, the cures for cancer are often aggressive, and there's a really significant chance you could die in your 80s if you're having like cancer treatments. So they just tell people in their 80s, oh, well, you got cancer. You're gonna die anyway. Now you know you're gonna die of cancer, probably, if you don't have a heart attack on the way out of here. So that's not like a shock. I mean, the guy, and the way he's going downhill with dementia, I mean, it's a race. I mean, he could linger on for 15 years with the cancer, but with the dementia, I don't think he's got too many more years. JC, Adam Ruins Everything. That's a show. Indie Phantom, yeah, saw that clip and didn't know who that dude was. LeMay, deflecting. Exactly. JC, chemo would kill you in your 80s. Yeah. Makes you sick, you can't eat. And a lot of old people, they already have problems in that area. So, yeah, but the clip of Adam is just... And Carl at the Lotus Eaters did a Sargon video about it, and what he was saying is, it's not that Adam doesn't know he's essentially lying and misleading people. It's just that he knows if he acknowledges this as a lie, in general, in the media, that he will be, abandoned by his liberal colleagues in television and whatnot. Which I think is mostly true. There's a good chance of it. He didn't even want to take the chance. But man, you should... It's a really interesting clip because you watch Tim get like totally pissed off and frustrated that Adam won't acknowledge reality. Indie Phantom, Biden funeral will happen next. It could be a few years, but yeah. JC, chemo is really just radiation poisoning. Yep. Um, and the other bit that people won't acknowledge still to this day, and I called this out when it happened. I have older relatives. I specifically use this as a example about Trump all day, and I've showed them the clips, and they still don't believe it. And that's when he went to Japan, and he met the Japanese prime minister. And what happened was, they showed a clip. The news showed a clip of Trump dumping all. They were feeding the koi, and Trump in the first version of the clip just dumps all the food in the koi, and the news was like, oh my god, what a moron. Is he trying to kill the fish? Look, he dumped all the food all at once. What an a-hole. But then if you watch the extended clip, which was all over the internet, but the news cut it, the Japanese prime minister comes out, dumps the box. Trump was about to spoon it out a little bit at a time, but he sees the prime minister dump the whole box, and he goes, oh, we're just dumping the box. Boom. And so the only portion of that clip you see on the news is when Trump dumps the box. And it's so effing misleading, it's infuriating. JC, I stopped watching Adam Ruins Everything when he did a video trying to convince his audience that alpha-beta dynamic doesn't exist in nature in order to own the chuds. Really? He did one of them? I only watched a couple of episodes just about like stupid stuff that I can't even remember, but like normal, that one sounds like a late one, but he is irritating, and boy, that conversation, I put him right at the top of the blacklist. People never support Adam Conover. Note to self, never support this guy. It's just the denial of reality that pisses you off so much. How can you deny reality this much? But people will do it. They'll do it all friggin' day long. That's why I don't discuss politics with people anymore. Because you can't argue with someone who will deny reality. They'll just say, no. It's tough. And look, I had my own hang-ups back when I was a Democrat, and but I can mark that off as like, well, I didn't really know anything. I was young. I knew what the consensus was, what I had seen on the news and whatnot. I never really did much of my own research, but back then you kind of didn't. It wasn't until the internet came along that you could kind of do your own research, and now everybody does it all. Now nobody believes anybody who says anything. JC, it was like 2015, 2016 when all this progressive stuff started going too far. Well, there were signs. I mean, in the 90s, there was a lot of stuff going on in the 90s, but there was always this idea that the progressives they wouldn't cross certain lines. They would go far, but they might be, stuck in their belief system, but they wouldn't do anything too crazy. And they would still talk to people. You could still present things to progressives, and they might not agree with you, but they would allow you to present and go, well, I don't agree with that, but okay, here's what I say. Now it's they are the intolerant ones. It's crazy, because you have to remember, I'm old enough to remember the tail end of the complete opposite. When in the 70s you had and the early 80s you had religious nutbags who were incredibly intolerant, and people who were just, they weren't progressive, but they were like kind of liberal when liberals were kind of still cool, and they just wanted to smoke pot and drink beer and speak freely and be who they were, kind of thing. It was a social thing that the church people didn't like, and their over response doomed them, because then in the 90s, when they were still trying to gain some traction, everybody abandoned them. Everybody said, F you, church people, you bunch of hypocrites. And now the whole thing's flipped. Now it's happening to the left. Indie Phantom, liberal is a denial of reality. Well, leftism is whatever's left of the liberal, the normal liberals are mostly gone. Like Bill Maher's like one of the last normal liberals. But he is like alone. He is like very much alone. The hippies used to be very, very suspicious of government. They didn't like government. Now you can hear people on the liberal side of politics defend the government all day long. The hippies would have loved Doge. Oh, they would have celebrated in the streets with flowers in their hair, dancing around. Oh my God, they're dismantling the government. Yeah, baby. Now they defend it all day long. They never would have defended the FBI, or they would have loved the insurrection. They would, or the so-called insurrection, I should say, in January 6th. They would have loved that. You know, the ones that were still true to their natures. Now they're all just a bunch of hypocrites. But that's what's going to happen to the people on the right when they get older, too. JC, I meant that Adam Ruins Everything video was from 2015-ish time. Oh, really? Wasn't that later? Didn't he start the show before that, though? Wasn't that show like, I want to say it was like the mid-2000s when that started? Because that's when I still had TV. By 2015, I didn't really watch too much TV, if I recall. That's when I started to get out of television, which was weird for me because I used to love TV. Indie Phantom, yeah, Doge would have been a hippie crack. Oh my God, they would have loved it. They would have loved it. But now, the hippies are gone. You know, all the boomers, they've all made their money and they're all old. There's a handful of hippies out there. They're just quietly living their hippie lives. Wondering, well, I'm old now. It doesn't matter. But man, back in the day, they would have loved that. All right, number 6. JC, Adam started on crack.com. That's where Adam Ruined Everything started. Then it moved over to EV. Oh, weird. I didn't know that. I worked for crack.com just briefly. I think I got 2 articles on Cracked. They're long gone, but what did I do? I did, I think the bit was Arnold Schwarzenegger's day planner. And right around the time he got caught sleeping with his maid, I guess. It was a long time ago. Number 6 is Hurry Up Tomorrow. This looked terrible. Jenna Ortega and The Weeknd. Yeah, I don't understand what this movie even is, but I think Jenna Ortega is a fan who kidnaps her favorite singer or something and tortures them. Something like that. I don't know. I don't know why you would pick The Weeknd. I don't think he's been in a lot of movies, if any movies, to be the lead, and then Jenna Ortega to prop him up. I don't think you can make a movie like that and expect it to work. But 3.3 million if you want to see Jenna Ortega and The Weeknd do stuff. It doesn't look good to me, though. It's just about what was the budget on this thing? That's a good question. 15 million. Okay. Yeah, it's not going to make its money. 3.3 million. It's done. That's done. That's no bueno. That's going right down the tubes. Next weekend, they'll crack $1 million, and that'll be it. So that was probably about $10 million down the tubes. Number 7 is Friendship. It goes from 13 to 7. Now this is that Paul Rudd comedy in its second week, so it actually went up. It's not in a lot of theaters though. It's only in 60 theaters, but that was a lot more than before. This movie looks okay. Looks pretty watchable. I don't know why they would give it such a weird meandering release, but 2 million. What did it cost to make? Well, it's a comedy. It probably didn't cost a lot. Probably could have brought it in for under 10 if you really tried. Indie Phantom. Jenna Ortega is hot. Will watch streaming. Heard some good on it. Okay. Jenna Ortega's okay. I don't know. She's a little too young. A little too young and young looking for me. If that makes any sense. But she's cute. I get it. Number 8 is Clown in a Cornfield. In its second week, dropped 63%. That's no bueno. 1.3 million. 6.5 million worldwide. What was the budget? It's based on a novel. No idea. Yeah. I don't think it's too expensive a movie, but I don't think you're going to make your money back on that one either. I thought it looked stupid, but apparently it's based on a novel and it's supposed to be a good novel. It feels, even if this isn't the intent, it feels like a ripoff of it. That's all it feels like to me. You know, a scary clown. Somebody just said, "Oh, I want to do an It movie and take the clown and do something slightly different." I don't find clowns evil, but I do enjoy Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And if you haven't seen that, it's a cult classic. And I believe they made a video game as a sequel that also takes place in the 80s, which was pretty funny. Number 9, Indie Phantom. Looks Halloween seasonal. Yeah, kind of the wrong time to release it. Probably could have done better during Halloween. Speaking of which, Until Dawn, the video game movie, $800,000. Going out of theaters. Did all right, 49 million. Only cost 15 million to make, so that's money. That is money. I'm getting a message. Hold on. Getting a text. I'll have to watch that later. Okay. So yeah, I'm not. My understanding is this video game apes slasher movies, like a bunch of different ones. So it's like a parody of the movies, but then they turn the video game back into a movie. It doesn't make any sense to do. It's like you want to talk about a meta concept. That's like going meta the other way. It's like what they're doing to The Color Purple, right? Okay, so we made The Color Purple the book. All right, let's turn it into a movie. All right, that's great. Let's turn it into a Broadway show. Okay, let's turn the Broadway show back into a movie. What's next? The book? Number 10 is The Amateur. $712,000. This is Rami Malek. Oh, it did 93 million. That's not too bad for $60 million budget. That's probably not money, but I would probably catch this on streaming. It looked okay. Number 11 is Shadow Force. This did not look good. $650K in its second week, dropping 70%. Just looks like a generic action movie. 3.5 million, 3.6 million is the total. That might be money. I mean, this movie, it looked cheap to me, and I don't recognize any of the actors in it. Every time I see Lionsgate and one of their movies, I remember that for some reason I bought 2 shares of Lionsgate. Probably because I knew it. I have a friend of a friend who worked at Lionsgate, and I said, "Oh, let me buy 2 stocks in Lionsgate. Maybe that'll do well." It's never gone back to what I've paid for it. I'm hope the second that thing goes over what I paid for it, it's out of my portfolio. But I am the kiss of death on stocks. So number 12, dropping from 7, is Fight or Flight. $500,000. Boy, this has gone down the tubes. Another one, 74% drop. Oh, this is very done. Now, this looked like a perfectly functional actioner, but Jesus. No word on the budget, but jeez. 3.6 million. This movie is cooked, and this had to cost some money. Josh Hartnett's in it. That is done. Number 13 from 10, King of Kings from Angel Studios, still in theaters. That did real well. Number 14, dropping from 11, is Warfare, $278K. Did this movie make its money? 31 million? That only cost 20 million to make. Maybe they didn't do a lot of press for this, so maybe. Disney Snow White, somehow still in theaters. 180 theaters. There's 180 theater owners that hate their customers. Now I'm gonna keep this crap movie here. Torture these idiots. $93,000. Caught by the Tides. I don't know that film. In its second week. Sounds like an indie flick. $45,000. Oh, it's a foreign flick. A Nice Indian Boy, gay Indian movie. In its 7th week. $31,000. It's just not going to happen. Legend of Ochi with William Dafoe, $30,000 in its 5th week. Captain America Brave New World, somehow still making a little bit of money. It made $13,000. That's the future of Thunderbolts. When Fall is Coming, $12,000. I think that's another art house deal. Yeah, it looks that way. Sacramento, which was Michael Cera and Kristen Stewart. $7,000. Wow. Wow, this movie did nothing. $703,131. Oof. Michael Cera is over. If you're wondering if Michael Cera is over, he's done. Holy crap. And Kristen Stewart didn't bring any box office with her. You better start developing Superbad 2, Michael Cera. Kristen Stewart, you better start developing Charlie's Angels 2. And Vulcanizadora, some foreign film, $2,155. A $103 million weekend for... Seems like we don't have enough movies on this list, but that's the weekend domestic for May 16th, 2025. Meh. I say to that, meh. Mid-May, and the box office is meh. All right, let's get into the trades. See if we can explain this stuff. We'll start with Fandom Pulse. Scott Snyder implies his absolute Batman villains are stand-ins for Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Well, what a shock. You're telling me a liberal comic creator is making some noise about Trump? Color me shocked. I mean, wouldn't some editor at DC just go, please do anything else? Like, that's where I'd be. No, you can't do any more political stuff. Why? Everybody's doing it. Yeah, exactly. Who's this comic for? The liberal Batman fans? What liberal wants to see a guy run around and bash criminals in the face now? Military sci-fi book review, Battlefield Diplomacy by L.L. Richman. Okay. Indie Phantom, Sarah is cooked. Yeah, I mean, that guy used to be an A-lister. I loved him in This Is the End, by the way. I love This Is the End, even though it's Seth Rogen. But man, that movie's funny. He's so great. Michael Cera does such a great bit where he slaps Rihanna in the ass and then she slaps him silly. Oh no. Everybody, I know you're going to be very disappointed to find out there's a rumor that Doctor Who, the gayest TV show ever made, will be put on pause until 2027 while the BBC regroups. Yeah, they got to go back to the lab, see how much more gay they can shove into it before 2027, I guess. Oh my God. You know what they just did in an episode? The same thing they did with David Tennant to create Nkuti Gatwa's character. I don't know if you follow any of this, but the Doctor split in half. That's how we got Nkuti Gatwa, the gay Doctor. Just unbelievable. So apparently it happened again with a different character. Ugh. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Amazon is rolling out AI audiobook narration. Here's what consumers need to know. So basically, I won't have to do the audiobook anymore. Amazon can do it. So I may very well go ahead and let the Pineys all be narrated by the AI. I don't know. I want to do them myself, but God, the time frame. What I should do is this. What I wish I could do is take the AI, do all my characters' voices, put them in the AI, and then give the AI the book to do all the voices. But Indie Phantom, put on pause, LOL, like when couples take a break before filing for divorce. Yeah, been there. Yeah, they should put it on pause until, I don't know, someone who's not determined to make every person on the planet gay could actually write an episode of Doctor Who and not include gender and race in the storyline for once. JC, I already copy and paste all of the text I read into a voice emulator to read it to me. Is that a time saver? Or is it just you just like it? Indie Phantom, James Earl Jones can narrate the Pineys. And Hemingway said, "Shut up, Lewis." That would be kind of funny, though. It'd be kind of cool if you could pick a bunch of celebrity voices. That would be fun. I'd enjoy that. JC, it reads to me while I work. Neat. Mel Gibson teams with Lionsgate for the Resurrections of the Christ. Well, this will be a hit for Lionsgate. Maybe I can finally sell my stock after this movie comes out, because it should be a big hit. Religious movies are always kicking ass at the box office. And Mel Gibson, I really want to see The Passion of the Christ, mainly because Mel Gibson made it. He's really good. Mel's movies are good. Marvel executive claims actor costs prevented second season for Disney Plus shows. Well, whose fault is that? Why are you paying these actors so much money? If you had started with a lower budget, you would have had a different actor who would work for cheap. The actors aren't helping you, by the way. Did it help Daredevil? The brand's dead. I think Disney is dead. MCU is dead. Star Wars is dead. Oh, Liev Schreiber and Naomi Watts' son, the latest Hollywood child to pretend to be the opposite sex. So we had that this week. And yes, the Rambo prequel film in development. Sylvester Stallone is not involved. This is so unnecessary. I don't want to see a Rambo. What is that going to be? Here I am in Vietnam Gee, I hope this doesn't affect me later when I get home and become a wandering drifter. I hope I don't go crazy back in America and kill a bunch of sheriff's deputies trying to live on a mountain. Uh, I hope people just let me hitchhike and leave me alone. I hope I don't end up in a ranch fighting the cartel by myself. JC, did it help Moon Knight to cast Isaac What's-His-Face as Moon Knight? That's a good name for him, Isaac What's-His-Face. Because he might as well be Isaac What's-His-Face, because the only person he's famous with are Star Wars fans who are continually disappointed. And it's a show that I saw more clips of Moon Knight than just about any other Disney Plus show. And that show looked a jumbled effing mess. People were raving about it. Yeah, I didn't see much to rave about. Indie Phantom, prequels are such weak sauce for reboots. I hate prequels. There's almost nothing in a prequel that's surprising or fun or interesting. Almost nothing. Now, in a comedy, that can be the exception, but with the comedy, you can break all kinds of rules. I think it works better in a TV show. I've done it with the Pineys, but the flashbacks to the past with some of the characters, mostly it's for a joke. It's to show you how the characters were or how they always were. In the case of Hemingway, you know, I have a great flashback to the 80s in book 7, The Paradox Piney, where Hemingway argues with a younger version of himself, and I find it hilarious, but like, it's ridiculous at number one, and I can get away with it because it's a comedy, but you know, when you're talking about a serious reboot, no. And especially with a movie. What story are you telling here? We already know the story of Rambo. This is just like, well, we have the IP, and we can't just let it sit there, and we don't want to do the reboot yet because Stallone's alive. So, JC, they tried really hard to make Isaac What's-His-Face a thing. Can't even remember his name now. I think it was, isn't it Oscar Isaacs? Isn't his first name Oscar? His last name is Isaac? But yeah, Moon Knight. Moon Knight was one of the characters from the MCU you could have just, you know, taken a bunch of the stuff from the comics and made it make sense. Right? You could have basically, I mean, he was sort of like a supernatural Batman for the MCU. You could have just made him like that, but they can't do anything normal at Disney these days. Everything's got to be subverting your expectations to the nth degree. And of course, race swapping and gender swapping, people who have no business being in the roles that they're in. 300 screenwriter and Zack Snyder collaborator says it's essential to recognize the divine that plays a role in our lives. Okay. Tor books author Charles Stross goes on bizarre anti-Christian rant in his blog comments, calling Catholic crusaders barbaric and horrible. Doom: The Dark Ages failed to achieve even half the peak concurrent players of Dragon Age: The Veilguard. I'm kind of surprised because everybody seems to like Doom, and it's usually just a piling up the bodies high. Father Chris Alar explains why he believes cultural relativism is the root of all evil. I'm not sure why this is a Fandom Pulse, but it's getting super religious. Star Trek legend William Shatner calls for Donald Trump to name the 10th planet in the solar system. I think he would call it Trump if he actually named the 10th planet in the solar system. Do we have a 10th planet? We don't have a 9th planet anymore. David Tennant confirms he will not be returning to Doctor Who anytime. Oh, I heard it was on hiatus, so I guess not. And that's about it. I don't even know what that last one is. Over at Variety, Shia LaBeouf's theater company from hell. Okay. Leo Lewis's O'Neill's Kane's documentary reveals the actor's misconduct with students and his hopes for redemption, and his very swarthy mustache. There's your Mario, your weirdo Mario. Indie Phantom, I love woke cray cray rants. Not a week goes by. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, we're doing con stuff this week. So I'm keeping track of the biggest standing O. Looks like Joaquin Phoenix tears up during 5-minute con standing ovation for MAGA Western Eddington. Nope, that's not the longest one. Indie Phantom, Shia's mustache from hell. It's swarthy. The test is if you can put a cracker in the mustache and it stands on its own, that's a good mustache. Let's see. Oh my God, The Who. Remember them? The Who sacks Zach Starkley for a second time. This is Ringo Starr's son, who's being their drummer. In advance of their farewell tour, I was fired 2 weeks after reinstatement, the drummer says. And thereby repeating history with his dad, of being a terrible drummer. No, I don't know. I don't know why they fired him. It's just kind of funny. My favorite quote from the Beatles of all time, I think it was John Lennon, and they asked him, is Ringo the best drummer in the world? And John goes, Ringo's not even the best drummer in the Beatles. And he said it in a way like, he just like, oh, come on. Indie Phantom. Oh yeah, Pedro is in the Phoenix woke cons flick, of course. Oh yeah, he's in the Eddington thing. Yeah, it's him and Phoenix. As and it takes place during the pandemic, and it's I'm guessing it's a send up of MAGA and how irresponsible we are for not getting vaccines or something. Sam Rogers, good morning. What's it like in the Northern Hemisphere? Indie Phantom, LOL. It's actually very nice here. We had some great weather today in South Jersey. It's getting lighter and lighter because it's summertime, or approaching summertime here. We're in spring. And it was supposed to rain from Tuesday to Sunday this week, but it stopped raining Friday night. Friday night, we got a huge downpour, and then that was it. And that was the end of the rain. And then I went to my event outside on Friday. Saturday, my event was canceled, and it was sunny all day. They canceled it for rain because they thought for sure we were going to get dumped on, and they canceled the whole thing. And then today, it was supposed to rain. It was beautiful. It was a little windy. JC, Paul was a better drummer than Ringo. Paul was the one playing drums on a bunch of Beatles songs. Indie Phantom, oh, the pandemic in Pedro doesn't sound political. Should make $1 billion easy. Wait a minute, are you being sarcastic in my stream? Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. Because you know, one of the characters is going to be MAGA, and he's going to be the biggest a-hole on 2 feet. He's going to be wrong about everything, and he's going to be wrong about the pandemic. A bunch of people are going to die because of him. It's going to, you know it's coming. This is going to be the movie equivalent of why everybody who wears a mask was right, and everybody who wore a mask and got the shot, how they're somehow still right, and how everybody who made trouble was wrong. See, you made trouble if you didn't get the shot. I can say now, and I hope none of my relatives see this, but my relatives pressured me pretty relentlessly to get the shot. But I was 100% convinced I would die if I got it, because I saw the early reports online from doctors who said this is a bad idea. The I don't know how much I could say. We're on YouTube. I forgot. Let's just say a lot of guys had heart problems having this thing, and I'm in my 50s, and I don't eat well. I eat a lot of fatty foods, and I said that does not sound good for me. So I'm not doing that. But I had a ton of pressure to do it. And thankfully, the pressure eventually ended, because everybody now everybody I know wouldn't get the shot if you paid them, but they took many shots. So it's a shame. I worry every day that people I know who got the shot. I have a friend who might be having some medical problems. I'm worried, and I know he got a bunch of the boosters. So I'm worried that, his health was compromised because of it. But there's very little I can do about it. I mean, I've been telling people who got the shot, Dr. Peter McCullough has developed some sort of his own system, and he's a legit guy, to flush out your system. So I would recommend anybody who's concerned about that kind of stuff immediately find him online and think about doing his program. I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. But if you're interested, you can make up your own mind. YouTube. I'm not giving medical advice. Ardent. LOL. I never needed the opinions of others. Just the general knowledge I have was enough. Well, I never got a flu shot either. I never really wanted one because I thought, people would say to me, why don't you get a flu shot? And I said, well, I usually get sick once a year and it goes away in a week. Like, what am I going to get the flu shot for? Just to avoid one time getting sick? It seems stupid to me. And I said, once in a while, I don't even get sick. So why am I going to get it? And you know what happened? After 2019, knock on wood, I haven't really been sick. Like, I got sick for like an hour once. A few hours in 2019 I got sick. And I think I started feeling bad one other time. Again, I got a bunch of sleep and I was fine the next day. So I used to get sick, like really sick, like had to go to the doctors. I was out for a week, essentially, every year, like clockwork. That hasn't happened in 6 years. At least. It might be slightly more than that. So I'm not sure. My theory is because of the pandemic, people wash their hands a lot more than they used to, and they're not germing up the place. And now when people are sick, they tend to stay home because they might have the big C, and not that big C, but the C I'm talking about, the pandemic C. And so they generally stay home. Right during the beginning of the pandemic, I was at work. I was helping one of the maintenance guys because I had to hold the ladder for him, and he was coughing and coughing. He was super sick. And I was like, are you sick? He goes, yeah, I got 102 fever, but I just figured I'd finish the day. I'm like, you a-hole, get the hell away from me and go home. You're very sick, and I don't want to be that sick. Fortunately, I didn't get sick, but I was pissed that he even came in. Now you would never do that, right? If you went in with 102-degree fever, you would immediately, at least the normies would be like, oh, I might have you-know-what, so I better go get tested. I know people who still get those tests today. Ardent. The new big C from China. So, yeah, anyhow, that's my pandemic story. Make a movie about that, Pedro Pascal. Jennifer Lawrence gets honest about motherhood and postpartum at Cannes. It's extremely isolating and you feel like an alien. I'll say this, postpartum's no joke. If you got someone who's just had a baby, you got to make sure they're okay, because they get super depressed sometimes. And sometimes it goes the wrong way. All right, here's the biggest story of the day. Joe Biden diagnosed with prostate cancer. JC, the big C? Pelosi? Who called Pelosi the big C the other day? Somebody did. Oh, it was the Pope's brother. They revealed that he's a big MAGA guy, and one of his posts on like social media was calling Pelosi the big C. Let's see. What else? Who got the 7? Oh, here we go. Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson's animalistic descent into madness. Die My Love gets a 6-minute Cannes standing ovation. Still not the longest. But that's pretty good. You know, if you rate things by standing ovations. Oh, the Phoenician Scheme review. I want to see the Phoenician Scheme, but I want to see all the Wes Anderson movies. SNL Film lines up cast for soccer comedy Old Boys as Scorebound launches sales. That does... maybe, I guess. I mean, at least it's a comedy. Guillermo del Toro teases incredibly emotional Frankenstein at Cannes. I'm not doing a horror movie. Okay. Indy Phantom. Yeah, Pope's bro was in the Navy with Steve Bannon. No way! Seriously? He was stationed with Bannon? Oh, he must be based as F. Ardent. LOL. No, she's a big C, not the big C. Ah. Sam Rogers. In some countries, the big C just means friend, depending on context. Oh, interesting. You Aussies, you do everything upside down. That's like when you say to a girl, will you root for me? I know that means something different in Aussie language. Let's see. Tom Cruise says he's working on potential sequels for Top Gun Maverick and Days of Thunder. We're thinking and talking about many different stories. Well, the question is, will Tom Cruise finally take a back seat in Top Gun and play his age? That's my question. Will he play the what's the name? The veteran who teaches the new guy? Indy Phantom. Here's ScarJo is bitching that she was locked in sex object roles for years. Victim? Yeah, I wonder why. Well, let's see. I'm the most beautiful woman in Hollywood. Oh, you want me to play the hot girl? What are you, typecasting me? Oh, no. We want you to play Albert Einstein with tits. Like, what else are you supposed to play, ScarJo? And why do you think you're getting your calls returned? JC, I think the new Pope helped organize the Chaz in Seattle back during the Summer of Love. Oh, no. He's a little woke. But, I mean, it's a good sign. I think he's moderating himself at the very least. But, yeah, I've heard some not too happy things about the Pope's wokeness. But I think he's been ordered to pull it back, or probably just thinks it's a good idea. Now, let's see. Wes Anderson delights Cannes as Phoenician Scheme lands 6.5 standing ovation, leading Mia Stapleton overcome with tears. Okay. So that's a good sign. Still not the longest one. It was 7.5 minutes, and now I forget the movie. Damn it. Which movie was it? 7.5 minutes is the... Let's see. Let's see if I can find the 7.5 minute one. Wasn't too long ago, so it might be... Let me try searching for once on Variety. Cons. There we go. Indy Phantom. Oh. JC, Scarlett Johansson is mid. You shut your whore mouth. Always has been. No, she is not mid. Indie Phantom, Sweeney embraces her assets and seems happy to flaunt it. Yes, she does. And she still gets plenty of roles. I think she's going to get more than ScarJo, I think. She's doing a lot of movies these days. Let's see. Where the hell is... yeah, I'm not seeing it. One of these films got 7.5 minute. I'm not seeing any of the... let me try cons standing ovation. Try that. All right, 5 minutes. Here we go. Oh, here's it. Emilia Perez. That's 9 minutes. No, we don't. That's from last year. Come on. Okay, Jennifer Lawrence gets 6. Urchin gets 5. Oh, here it is. Nope, that's last year. Honora got 7.5. Tom Cruise got 5 for Mission Impossible. The Apprentice got 8, but that was last year. Horizon got 7, but that was last year. Oh, man, it's not on here. All right, I can't find it. Indie Phantom, ScarJo going girl boss in Jurassic World. Yeah, unattractive. Do not like the girl boss stuff. Over at Bounding in the Comics. Nothing. Nothing worth mentioning. The Superman trailer dropped with the engineer, if you care about that. Indie Phantom, Apprentice, LOL. Exactly. They thought they're so fancy. We made a movie. This is the end of Donald Trump. The walls are closing in. Hollywood Reporter, Josh Holloway is finally coming back. I had a hard 7 years. This looks pretty good, this show. It's called Duster. It's like a show that takes place in the 70s or 80s, so it's all about the car, I guess. Do 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 do. Indie Phantom, the Superman trailer was bad. Well, which one? It's been like 5 now. Let's see. More on the Phoenician scheme, more on Shia LaBeouf. Indie Phantom, Soup getting grilled by Lois in first minute. I think the problem with Superman, and this is a problem in the comics, is you never should have brought Superman and Lois together. Like, that's the dynamic that keeps the thing going. You could say it's stupid that she doesn't recognize him with glasses, but I think it works. I'm ready to believe that. I'm ready to believe that a woman who's wrapped up in her own deal ignores a man. I can believe that. Especially a man who's into her. Indie Phantom, latest one was the worst. Is that the one with Guy Gardner going like this? And like the giant hand comes out and knocks a guy over? I thought that was cool. Michael Che apologizes to Scarlett Johansson for infamous roast beef joke. I was jealous. I don't know why you're apologizing. This is the second time SNL apologized for jokes. If you want to apologize for anything, apologize for not being funny anymore. I guess Scarlett Johansson was on SNL. Her husband is, what's his name? Jost. The other guy on Weekend Update, if anyone cares. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem 2 delayed to 2027. How about delaying it forever? Ralph Fiennes to play President Snow in the Hunger Games, Sunrise on the Reaping. Ugh. Just don't like the Hunger Games. I think I saw one of them. I think I saw the first one because I wanted to see Jennifer Lawrence run around in a tight outfit, but I can't say I enjoyed it as a concept. I felt it was very basic and stupid and boring. Over at Bleeding Fool, Fairly Odd Parents creator launches faith-based indie animation studio. I'm telling you, this is where Hollywood's going. Everybody's going to be faith-based. Everybody's going to be doing the trad thing. Oh, no. What church are you going to? Oh, I'm going to Chris Pratt's church. Oh, Chris Pratt's church. I got to get to that church. That's the way it's going to be. MPAA reports Mithrigan 2.0 will contain mature sexual material and content. Why? It's a weird movie, Mithrigan. The weird doll that talks. Hooray for Hollywood. Workers, why Trump's tariff plan sparks hope. Yeah, because the Teamsters are going to clean up again. Because stuff will be happening here. Allegedly. It's not going to make the movies any better. But they'll make them here, I guess. It'll just make them more expensive. And I assume other countries will be in a huff about not getting the business, so they won't distribute them. And it'll all even out in the end. They don't really need to go overseas anymore. I mean, I guess they're saving some money, but they should just lower the taxes here. That's the easiest way to solve this problem is drop the taxes, drop all the friggin' permits and fees that cause people to go, oh no, we're not shooting in LA. Do you know how many fees you got to pay to shoot anything in LA? Like, I used to shoot stuff, and we would, in Philadelphia, we just shoot on the street. We could just shoot whatever. Now, did we technically need a permit? Yeah. Like, if it was a big production, the cops would, if you do something, and the cops see you, they might shut you down and say, oh, you need a permit or whatever. But 9 times out of 10, you could just shoot whatever. It doesn't matter. Indie Phantom, Trump is Hollywood's last hope. Oh, the irony. But in LA, like, not only do you need permits to shoot in Los Angeles, not only is there a whole bunch of other regulations and it's got to be union, whatever. If you shoot at a building in LA, like a specific building, one that's like, say, a historical landmark, there are buildings in LA with their own agencies, right? So the building is represented by an agent that you have to call and then get permission to shoot there. And you probably have to pay him a fee and negotiate that with the agent. So imagine you want to shoot, I don't know, at the Man Chinese Theater. You got to negotiate with the Man Chinese Theater agent. So who wants to do that? I mean, if you have to shoot at that specific location, then maybe you're going to have to do that. But how many people are lining up to shoot at specific locations in LA? Well, they do a lot of production there, but my God, when a building has its own agent? In the 70s and 80s, when I would watch TV, I would see, all the buildings in LA and all the cop shows I used to watch. When I moved to LA for a short time, every place looked familiar to me because they had probably shot a Rockford Files in the parking lot there, or in an episode of Mannix or whatever in one of the parking garages, or part of one anyway, a scene. And it all looks vaguely familiar when you're walking around LA and doing stuff. You just suddenly go, well, have I been here before? Or at least I would, because I watch so much TV. It was weird. And good luck shooting there now. I mean, because everybody does it so much, no one's going to let you do it for free. They're all going to be like, oh no, you got to give it something. Whereas, you know, if you came to South Jersey and you asked some dude, hey, can we shoot this scene in your side yard if we don't bother you? They'd probably just go, yeah, go ahead. I don't care. Joe Rogan says, Resurrection of Jesus makes more sense than the Big Bang Theory. Okay. Whatever. Joe Rogan, now religious. See? He's from San Francisco. He wasn't religious before. Now he's religious. It's all part of the milieu of being on the right. You're going to see more and more guys do this. Partly for their career and partly because they sort of get swept up in it. Like, oh, this is what my friends are doing. This is, you know, now I'm friends with the guys on the other side of the aisle. Now this is what they do. Maybe I'll look into it. Maybe I'll join too. And then they do. I'm not knocking anybody for finding religion, but Indie Phantom, great doc called Los Angeles Plays Itself, goes through so many films and TV spots. You get lots of obscure recommends too. Oh, neat. I have to check that out. Los Angeles Plays. Or Los Angeles Plays Itself. That's funny. Let's see. R.I.P. veteran comic illustrator Butch Guice. I don't know him. My Marvel mea culpa. I got this wrong. And Marvel's latest makeover, Doctor Doom's protege, is now a twink. So more gay stuff at Marvel, everybody. They couldn't make Doctor Doom gay. I guess they finally put the kibosh on that. I'm sure they were pitching it. Oh no, Doctor Doom will be gay. No, we can't make Doctor Doom gay. He's obviously not gay. Because he went after Sue Storm like a million times. No, but he's secretly gay. We should make him gay. No, we're not going to make him gay. Oh, come on. We got all these pitches for him to be gay. No, you can't make Doctor Doom gay. All right, can we make his assistant gay? Okay, make his assistant gay. And that's my little play on how Marvel's Doctor Doom's protege became gay. But yeah, that's the way I see it. I mean, how many more times are you going to jam something in to Marvel that just doesn't belong there? Gay stuff, gender swaps, gender this, racial stuff. Chris Claremont did it back in the 80s, but he knew how to write. You people couldn't write your way out of... You couldn't write your own name on a check without saying something gay about it. It's unbelievable. Marvel Comics. Again, my dream is to fire everybody at Marvel Comics. Even if I never work at Marvel Comics, if I only do that, I will feel that my life has meaning. Just want to put that out there, Disney. If you just want to fly me to LA so I can fire everybody, I will do that. And I will do it with a smile in my face and a song in my heart. I will play jaunty music while I do it. Okay, bring in the next person. And they come in and they're kind of dancing too. Oh, this is a nice little song. Hey, why don't you sit down? You're fired. Get out. Clean out your desk. Don't ever come back here. And I'm going to put you on a list so you never work in comics again. So do yourself a favor and never apply anywhere that makes comics. If you hear the word comic, walk away. If someone's in a building and you hear the word comic book, you just turn around and walk out. That's what I would like to do to everybody who works at Marvel Comics. Thank you. That was my one-man play. Tony fires everybody. How much more gay stuff are they going to jam in? And no wonder Fairly Odd Parents creator launched a faith-based indie animation studio. I bet they won't get a lot of gay pitches there. This was a big story sometime this week. The dad who spent $1,400 for his family of 5 on a one day at Disney World. $1,400. That's mostly on food, I think, and getting into the park. That's ridiculous. Figure, like, the tickets are over $100 a day. So 5 tickets, probably that's got to be at least half of it. I would say $700 with tax, and the parking. 1 day of parking, that's another $50. The rest's got to be on food. What else is there? And some merch. It's ridiculous. Disney is no bueno. Deadline. How the industry is responding to Trump's rollback on diversity, equity, and inclusion. I don't know. Is this something to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion? Oh, that girl's in a wheelchair, so obviously. Buffalo 8 takes worldwide rights to sci-fi fantasy thriller Devil's Play starring Mickey Rourke. Okay. Let's see what this is about. Is that him in the movie? Directed by Ben Charles Edwards, inspired by Mark Twain's The Mysterious Stranger, the film explores themes of faith, destiny, and the duality of good and evil. All right. Don't have a synopsis. Oh, here it is. Devil's Play follows Iva, a troubled teenager trapped between an abusive stepfather and a distant deaf mother. She finds an unexpected salvation in a mysterious boy claiming to be Lucifer, a fallen angel sent to guide her. As she wrestles with faith, madness, and destiny, she is trained for a chilling mission to assassinate a powerful American televangelist, Mickey Rourke, hiding a sinister truth beneath his holy image. Okay, sounds weird. Indie Phantom. Disney also opening more bars on site so the dads can at least get buzzed about their regret. Yeah, what's a Manhattan cost in Disney? Jesus, it must be like $50 a drink. Probably tastes like A. Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme scores 7.5 standing O. There it is. So was it The Phoenician Scheme? I think it was a different movie, but okay, good. Wes Anderson is on top at Cannes, depending on how you're scoring it. Let's see. More of the same. More of the same. Oh, wait at Cannes. Read all of Deadline's movie reviews for the Cannes. Sarah Silverman feels effing ignorant for using slurs, blackface, and past comedy. There it is. There's Sarah apologizing for her comedy. Unbelievable. I met Sarah way back in the day. She is a friend of a friend before she was famous. And Sarah was without a doubt the most foul-mouthed stand-up comic I'd ever seen. She said some of the most filthiest things I had ever heard. Buddy Hackett was the filthiest one I had ever heard before that. And Sarah was like, outrageous. Just absolutely outrageous. And now here she is trying to make up for it, I guess. Trying to go woke. Not gonna work. Not gonna work, Sarah. You gonna make the jump to serious actress, I guess? Good luck. Phoenician Scheme review. Benicio del Toro hilariously dominates Wes Anderson's latest all-star Wes Anderson movie, Cannes Film Festival. Good. That sounds good. It's funny because my favorite Wes Anderson movie so far is still The Royal Tenenbaums, and that's kind of the way Gene Hackman acts in that movie. Like, it's about a family, but Gene Hackman is sort of the central guy in the whole movie, and this is what this movie feels like too. And Benicio is even wearing a very similar suit that Gene Hackman wore in his movie. Indie Phantom. Used to find Sarah kinda hot. Has her Playboy. She was in Playboy? Oops. Let's see. There was a time where Sarah Silverman was kind of like Pedro Pascal. They were putting her in everything, only on TV, which I thought was funny. She was in an episode of Star Trek Voyager where they went back in time to the present day, and she was present day girl. Oh, yeah, I gotta talk about this. X-Men reboot, rumored to cast Black Professor X and Magneto. They're looking at Denzel Washington for Magneto, which just is nuts because it completely flies in the face of his origin story, where he escapes the bad guys from Germany using his powers, partly. Just unreal that you would change these two characters. I mean, I really think Disney is trying hard to completely ruin the X-Men. Like, to make sure it's so insanely woke before it even comes out that no one's going to want to see it. They're trying. So you're going to race swap these two. And then Cynthia Erivo is being considered allegedly for Storm. So you're not going to race swap Storm, right? Oh, no, we can't race swap Storm. She's already black. Unreal. But I don't know who wants to see this. It's nuts. There's already black characters in the X-Men. Chris Claremont was liberal. He was woke back before, I mean, not really woke, but he was very liberal back in the day when he was writing in the 80s. Holy cow, he wrote some great stories. Again, he could write. He built this whole thing. And that's saying something, considering that it was created by Stan Lee. And was it Kirby, too? Who created the X-Men? I forget. Who created the X-Men? I know Stan Lee was one. It might have been Kirby, too. Yeah, it was Kirby. Yeah. And the book didn't sell. It wasn't until Claremont got on it that it exploded. Like, buying X-Men comics in the 80s, it was like printing money. You could buy it, and literally the next week, you could sell it for more than you paid for it. Because it was that people followed the X-Men for 20 years. Because Claremont was on it for 20 years. And it was good. It was super good. Indie Phantom. Opening of The Way of the Gun is awesome, where she's acting like a Major C and gets smashed in the face by Benicio del Toro. I did like Sarah Silverman in A Million Ways to Die in the West. She's pretty funny in that. But they don't make comedy movies anymore. That's part of the problem. AI Darth Vader starts swearing in Fortnite. Forces Disney patch. I don't know why. This will be the one thing it would get me to play Fortnite. Somebody send me an email. You got to play Fortnite because Darth Vader just says the dirtiest effing things. Oh, I'm playing Fortnite. I would have been there like that. But now you patched it, so what the hell. Ardent is back with a movie pitch. Chubby woodworker dies. Movie pitch. Chubby woodworker dies in hospital being sponge bathed by Salma Hayek. Shut up, it's my fantasy. I mean pitch. In a bikini. Goes to heaven before St. Peter can let him in. Points out he was never a great Christian. In fact, lived his life as an atheist. Peter checks and finds an administrative error has been made and lets him in until they figure it out. He spends just enough time in heaven to get the message and turns his life around and buffering and hooks up with Salma Hayek at his church. Happy ending. That's not bad. That's literally not bad. I mean, that could work. I'm not being flip. I think that could actually work. Indie Phantom, sweet ass pitch, Ardent. I'm not the only one. Might want to write that one up. Salma Hayek still just looks great. She is 58 and looks amazing. Following Marvel flop, Brie Larson lands J.J. Abrams' horror movie. Gee, I wonder what movie he'll rip off in order to make that. I hope it's a good one. Spider-Man 4, Steven Yeun and Sarah Snook rumored as villains. I can't figure out who these two would be in Spider-Man. Now, it has to be a Spider villain because it's Sony. So they only have Spider-Man. They only have the Spider-Man characters. So for Steven Yeun, I mean, Electro would be the obvious choice. But they kind of already did Electro, so the pattern has been they'll kind of get away from the characters they've done before. And Sarah Snook, I can't even think of a female villain other than like Black Cat, but she's not really a villain. And she looks too old to be Black Cat. So who the hell? Must be a more obscure character. Steven Yeun, I can't think. Like, one of the characters I would have liked to have seen in Spider-Man, and I'm not sure if it's in with Sony because of the character, but was Tombstone. I don't know if you remember Tombstone. He was a later addition to Spider-Man. And kind of a popular villainous character. I mean, I'd love to see the Scorpion. Steven Yeun could be the Scorpion. The Scorpion's kind of not very well known. But he's just sort of a generic bad guy. But it probably could do something with him. But for a female character, man, I can't think of anything. Villain-wise, anyway. Not a lot of female villains, I realized, on the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery. Kind of all the major ones have been done. So, at this point, they're digging. I mean, they've wasted the Rhino now twice. They wasted Kraven on a movie. They'll never bring it. You'll never get to see Kraven now fight Spider-Man. They've pretty much confirmed they'll never do Tom Holland and Tom Hardy as the Venom character together, which is utterly insane. That movie would make $1 billion. That would be the easiest bet in Hollywood if you had just got Tom Hardy to do Venom with Tom Holland. It would be the easiest bet in Hollywood. $1 billion easy. You could do 3 movies with those two going back and forth. Yeah. 3 movies at $1 billion each. Easy. You've already set up the Venom character. All you got to do is bring him into New York with Spider-Man. And do the same rivalry. Now, the origin is different now that you've played it out however you played it, but you could easily do 3 movies with Tom Hardy and Tom Holland just going back and forth, Venom and Spider-Man, trying to kill each other. Oh, people would love it. They would love it. And it would be good because Tom Hardy's character was a hero in his movie. And you could go really back and forth. They would just have different ways of doing of doing what they do. But you're never going to say it because Hollywood don't want to make money, apparently. So, I don't know. Sarah Snook. I can't think of a single female. Let's look at some Spider-Man villains. List of Spider-Man villains. Give me that list. All right. Here we go from the Wiki Fandom. Dear God, there's a lot. There's too many of them now. 8-Ball. These are all obscure from different Earths. This is too many. All right. We can't look at this list. Give me the list of Spider-Man villains. 20 best Spider-Man. 30 best villains of all time. Okay. We can do 30. Let's see if any of these work. Ardent. Dank. Might be a good one to get me Pope Ricky Juice. Nice. Spencer Smith. I have no idea who he is. The tarantula. This is a guy they've never really used. Could work. You'd have to rewrite him a little bit. Richard Fisk. He is the son of Kingpin. Probably can't do it because Daredevil's rights are elsewhere. Morlun, I've never heard of him. He can absorb life force. The Molten Man, don't remember him. Spot, I kind of remember him. He was okay. Again, no, where are the women? Black Tarantula, don't remember him. Kane, vaguely remember him. They've already wasted him in the stupid movie with Sydney Sweeney, the girl Spider-Man movie they tried. Indie Phantom, they will gender swap her to play Scorpion. Oh, that would suck. Mr. Negative, don't remember him. Okay, there you got Black Cat. She's too old to be Black Cat, I think. J. Jonah Jameson doesn't really count. There's Tombstone. See, that's Tombstone. He's a cool villain. He's very iconic looking. The Hobgoblin, he's a possibility. Stephen Young could be the Hobgoblin. I think he's too short for Tombstone, but he could probably do the Hobgoblin. Shocker. Now, that's not Electro, so maybe they could do Shocker. I mean, it's essentially the same character. Jackal. I don't remember him. That's an old character. There's Electro. We've had him. Rhino. We've had him. The Lizard. We've had him. Chameleon. Maybe. There's the Scorpion. Would not want to see him gender swap. Kraven the Hunter. One of the greats. They've wasted him. Morbius. Wasted him too. Sandman. Yeah, they already did him. He's a good one. Ardent. Jackal was the Clone Saga villain. Oh, he was. Oh, he was introduced in 65, it said here. Morlun was the Spider-Verse bad guy in the comics. Oh, I skipped a bunch. Ardent. Got another stab wound. They call it a follow-up blood test, but I know the truth. So I should be headed home in an hour. Oh, good. Good. Rest up. Rest up and recoup. The Vulture, of course, that's Michael Keaton. Mysterio. Jake Gyllenhaal did that. Carnage, they've done that with Woody Harrelson. Ardent. Chameleon is basically just a bad human with a shield face-changing mask. Venom, of course. Kingpin is in Daredevil. You can't use him. Green Goblin, they've already done. And Doc Ock. So, that's it. Yeah, that's about it. Not a lot of women on that list. So, I don't know who they're thinking about Sarah Schnook. Schnook. So, they're gonna gender swap one of these. Thunderbolts beating Captain America. Box office numbers say it might. Again, low bar. Aliens vs. Predator cinematic universe in the works, says insiders. I mean, how many times? How many bites of the apple are you going to get before you just get the, maybe we'll do something else? You know, maybe instead of spending $50 million on another Predator Aliens movie that probably won't work, maybe we'll make a couple of new movies and see if anybody likes them. I mean, Jesus. I love Predator 1 and 2. I love 2. Love it. But even I don't want to see these movies. More on Superman. Amazon dumps Henry Cavill's Voltron to streaming, no theatrical release. I'm a bit torn on this. I kind of think this would make money in theaters, especially if you release this in the summer. But then again, it is a Japanese IP, and it's kind of got a limited deal, right? I don't know. A lot of people grew up on Voltron. I would think it would do well if you released it in the summer. Ardent, Schnook is very Trinity Bay, Newfoundland name. Pete Sosi even had a stand-up character called Schnook, who was pretty funny. And of course, Daredevil, Born Again, makes Marvel history. All 9 episodes failed to chart on the Nielsen ratings. And why you only made 9 episodes instead of 10 is beyond me. And I hear a lot of those episodes are padded out anyway. Would you have a script for 3 episodes and decide to stretch it out over 9? Oh, and Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon franchise is officially dead. As if you didn't get the memo when it completely failed when they put it out. Hey everybody, turns out the Rebel Moon is dead. What? Yeah, Rebel Moon. What's Rebel Moon? Oh yeah, that movie, the 2-part movie Zack Snyder put out a few years ago. I didn't see that. Yeah, neither did I, but apparently it's dead. This was going to be the new Star Wars, the new MCU, the new everything. It could have been if he had a writer. I don't think he has writers, or he doesn't listen to them. I can't decide. But Zack Snyder could make great movies. He could. I love 300. I think 300 is really good. But that had a story. That had a comic. And it was all there. He just had to shoot the damn thing and make it cool. And he did. Now what's he doing? Does he just sit around all day and go, hey, I'm thinking of a movie that has everything in it, and so it'll be special to no one. Let's make Rebel Moon. He just doesn't know how to craft a story, in my opinion. I think his visuals are awesome. But somebody at the studio has to sit on him and say, Zach, listen to the screenwriter. Do what the screenwriter says, please. Indie Phantom, Cavill tends to tank at the BO. Well, that's true. Backing up, Ardent, how many Rebel Moon things did they make? I have heard, I have a nerd drinking game idea related to it. Well, they made 2 movies, part 1 and 2. I don't know if they had any merchandise. I gotta think they did. They launched that big. That was his big opportunity to start his own IP, and it kind of failed spectacularly. I mean, the Zack Snyder fans watched it and liked it, and that's about it. I don't think he drew in anybody else. You know? Maybe he drew in some of the sci-fi fans, but, you know, again, the look of the movie was incredible. That they had that crazy robot with the antlers coming off its head. It looked cool, but it didn't make any sense. From what I read about it, it just, I was trying to read about it. I wanted it to be good. I kind of wanted it to be good. No idea what he was trying to do with that. So, God, get a screenwriter. Screenwriters, I work cheap. I work dirt cheap. I don't work for free, but I'll work cheap. And I would have given you something great. Like, awesome. You actually pay me real money. My God, you'll get an amazing script. But, what is this? You can't just sit around all day and go, ooh, you know what would be cool if we got a lens flare here and the camera goes zoom and then the thing explodes. You can't just throw that in everywhere. There has to be a plot. There has to be a reason for all that crap. I can give you reasons for that, but geez, you got to give me some, you know, you might have to have a couple of scenes in a bar. Ardent, LOL probably would have been more popular if he hadn't obviously ripped off so many other properties. Yeah. That's usually where you start, Zach. I'll just give you a little tip here. You start by saying, oh, I want to do a space opera. Okay. What has been done before? Now, what can I do different so people come see this thing? That's the first step. Like, why would this space opera be different from all the others? So that's where you start. You don't start by going, oh, well, we got to have, we got to have lightsabers and phasers and stuff from something I saw in a movie 20 years ago. That's the wrong way to start. You have to come out with a completely different concept that is unique to itself. And then maybe some of those other elements might creep in because it is sci-fi and it's a space opera, and you're probably going to have some kind of guns and some kind of spaceships. But Jesus, man, you got to have a lot of different things. And it has to make sense. Like, you can't have wooden robots or wooden spaceships, even if they look cool. That's what they tried to do, by the way, in Aliens 3. That's the rumor. The rumor is this. They had a pitch, and they wanted to get production started immediately. And the pitch of the original Aliens 3 was that they were space druids, and that their ship was made of wood. And so they built the set. So they built a wooden spaceship set, or were building it, before finally somebody came on the set and went, "What the F are you idiots doing?" And they're like, "Oh, we built this wooden spaceship set." And they're like, and then finally somebody said, "You morons, you can't have a spaceship made of wood." And then they had to tear it all down and start over, which is why they ended up with less money, was the rumor. There was also a rumor that Sigourney Weaver asked for a lot of money and they didn't want to pay her. So they cut the special effects budget. And originally they had 3 aliens. The dog, which was in the movie, and then 2 others. One was a steer alien and the other was a gorilla alien. So they cut the steer and the gorilla and they just kept the dog. And the reason people said that was because they put out a line of toys, and the steer and the gorilla toy were toys. And that was at the time of Alien 3. But, yeah, you know what's like that, too, that I hate, besides Rebel Moon, is Avatar. Avatar borrows from everything, and I hate it so much. But for some reason, that one makes tons and tons of money and people like it. I don't know why. I guess because James Cameron really does know how to craft a movie. I just think he's become one of those isolated geniuses that you can't tell him anything. maybe Zack Snyder has too, but Avatar makes money and Rebel Moon didn't really make any money. Ardent, you could have a wooden spaceship, but it would stop being a sci-fi movie and immediately be a Spelljammer D&D fantasy. Well, yeah, if you had a movie that took place in a universe with completely different physics like Spelljammer has. I did enjoy Spelljammer. I played Spelljammer in my campaign for years. And for those of you who don't know, in Dungeons and Dragons, what the problem in Dungeons and Dragons, if you play it, is your characters accumulate experience points, and as they do, they become more and more powerful. And eventually, they get really, really powerful. Like, to the point at which characters are throwing die down, and you roll a 20-sided die to hit a monster. And I had guys in my campaign, all they had to do was roll anything other than a 1, and they would hit the monster with their swords that would do unbelievable amounts of damage. So the idea behind the Spelljammer expansion spec for Dungeons and Dragons was to up the ante, so to speak. And so it was a concept where they took Dungeons and Dragons and brought it into space, but in the way Dungeons and Dragons would bring things to space in a fantasy setting. So the idea is you would get this magical engine that you could put on a ship, and you could have your spellcaster sit in it and make it fly out into outer space. And as you flew into outer space, rather than everyone dies, it would take a bunch of air with it, and it would surround the ship and stay on the ship, so you could go to different planets. And it was pretty good because it really sort of expanded Dungeons and Dragons, and you could do these ridiculously epic campaigns where you could actually challenge these characters that had all this magic. And one of the things you could do, which was fun, there were different kinds of engines. One of the engines, and they're all just these thrones you would sit in and drive the ship. But one of the engines was, instead of using your magic user or cleric to burn up all his spells for the day to drive the ship, you had an engine that you could burn magic items, and it was called a furnace. And you would the furnace was in the back of the chair, and then the character could sit in it and drive, but you had to burn magic items. And typically high level characters had a bunch of extra magic items lying around that they weren't using anyway, so it was kind of a perfect way to burn through all the magic items that the characters had too many of anyway. So it was just kind of a fun expansion to Dungeons and Dragons if you ever played it. I loved it, but these days I don't have the time because I was the dungeon master. I had to do all the work. But I did enjoy doing the voices of the monsters and the various non-player characters in the game. That was my fun. Indie Phantom, space booty, heavy metal style. That's kind of what it was. So, like, all the monsters went up. So there's a monster in the game in Dungeons and Dragons called the Beholder, right? It's this giant ball with an eye and a mouth, and then a bunch of stalks coming out of the top of its head with eyes, and they could shoot these various spells out of the eyes in the stalks. And it's a really tough monster, but when you get to be high level, you kind of know how to take care of a beholder and kill it. It's still not that easy, but it's a lot easier. You can usually go toe to toe with a beholder, even if you're, just by yourself. But when you get out into space, you discover the beholders are like a race of creatures. So you could run into a ship full of these guys, and they got their own ship and their own engine, and it's crazy, crazy devastating to fight a whole ship full of those dudes. But characters could do it because they were so freaking powerful by that time. It was funny. All right, moving on to the rap. Kristen Stewart gets candid at cons, if you care about that. Let's see. More on the same stuff. Just cons, Sarah Silverman, the Phoenician scheme. All the same stuff. Why the Conclave streaming surge is a licensing cautionary tale. Apparently, after the Pope died, people for some reason started watching Conclave because they thought that would give them some insight, I guess, on how they elect the Pope. That's proof positive that people get their news from movies a lot of times. I used to do that, so I can't really poo-poo it too much, but I mean, back in the day, movies used to be more accurate, so I mean, they used to exaggerate stuff, but not like today. Today, they'll just straight up lie to you if they want. They do not care. That Park Place, Gears of War movie adaptation to be helmed by Deadpool 2 director. I don't know, man. Gears of War movie. All this movie was action, or all this game was action. I mean, this is like making Doom the movie. I don't know what you're gonna do with it. It's just an alien invasion thing. JC, LOL, the twist of Conclave was that the Pope was trans. I heard that. I wonder if that was just a ploy to get people to watch it again, but apparently it worked. I don't know. I can't imagine a Catholic, like a real religious Catholic, getting to that ending and going, "Oh, that's awesome." I imagine they would get to that ending and go, "Oh my God, what the hell were these people thinking?" But again, it's Hollywood's version of the Vatican, you know? I don't know. Have you guys played Gears of War? I don't think this is going to be... I mean, it's an alien invasion, so there's that, but... What are you going to do? Sit through 2 hours of Jack Black and I assume Pedro Pascal shooting aliens and then the end? I mean, just doesn't seem like much of a movie. I mean, it could be cool. They need action guys for this movie, I think. Jack Black's just all wrong. Blood and Turnips. The Essential Equation by Josh DiGerolamo pretends not to know, an editorial by L.W. Ghost. I'm not sure what that's about. Didn't read it. This dropped this week, the Rippaverse. JC, Gears of War is like a Space Marine thing. Yeah, but like Warhammer has that enormous amount of lore, right? You could do stuff with that. I don't think Gears of War has that kind of lore, you know? But Rippaverse, Saints and Sinners comic collection surpasses 100K in first day, proves power of independent storytelling. Well, I don't know about that, but there's some, the Critical Drinker has a story in this and a few other YouTubers. This is what I've been saying comics have needed a long, long time. Anthologies. Anthologies, 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 all day long, anthologies. If you want to bring people back to comics, you need to start putting out big anthologies. You need to do it for years and then see what people like. One of those, if you put out enough of these stories, eventually one of these things will hit so massively that you'll have to spin it into its own comic and then people will buy it. That's what happened to most of the Marvel characters, right? Tales, I think it's House of Mystery, was originally a bunch of different things, and then Iron Man was in it, and Iron Man became so popular they turned it into Iron Man, I think. I think it's House of Mystery. One of those. Or Tales of something. But that's the way it works. You do a bunch of different things and wait to see what the fans like. You don't assume everything you put out is going to be great. That's why I don't know if you remember Gen Comics. What was it called? Gen Comics? It's like Gen 10 Comics or something. No, Gen 13? No, that was a comic and Image. The guys down in Florida, they did a bunch of comics. It kind of went nowhere. Indie Phantom. I do like anthology, but the movies often fail. I love them, though. I think in comics, the only ones I read were Tales from the Crypt. Awesome. They were awesome. Yeah, movies, it's different. Movies, it doesn't work. Because, you know, like TV shows, it'll work, but for movies, it doesn't work. JC, Detective Comics versus Batman. Yep. Action Comics versus Superman. Yep. X-Gen. Thank you, JC. Yes. So X-Gen, they launched a bunch of comics. And they had really good talent. And the comics weren't awful. They were the artwork was really nice. And some of them were good. I enjoyed Way of the Rat. I think that was Chuck Dixon did that one, I think. And someone did a comic called Roos, which was like a Victorian era comic. Like, they had some good comics, but they just launched them all. And it was like a shared universe right out the gate, a bunch of comics. That's not the way it works. You're going to launch a bunch of comics like that. One of them will be viable and the rest will all die. And you just got to keep doing that until you get enough characters that are viable. You have to have a Spider-Man. That's your lead guy in the Marvel universe. Then you get a big hit like the Hulk. Yeah, then you get, something like the X-Men, and now you got a universe. Ardent, I'm free. Next message will be from home if you're still going. Oh, good. Well, Ardent's better, everybody. See, my streams actually heal people. This isn't medical advice, YouTube. This is just, empirical evidence. Apparently my streams heal the sick. Maybe I should be higher in the algorithm. Just saying. Just saying. Is anybody else feeling like maybe their sinus passages are clearer now? Maybe they feel a little more energetic. It's the healing of my voice. Yeah, so I'm glad Ripperverse is at least trying this. The problem is you have to do anthologies for a long time for that process to work. So they may launch this one and none of them are a hit. Like the book might do okay, but then that's it. You got to keep doing it. It's the only way. JEC, was it something you ate, Arden? Oh yeah, was it food poisoning or you don't know? He just got another blood test, so he might not have the answer yet. Epic Universe Harry Potter ride reopens with no virtual line, standby queue, and finally debuts for Battle at the Ministry. I assume that's the ride? Now I'm out of iced tea. Great. Let's see. Anything else here? Thunderbolts director reportedly tapped to lead MCU X-Men reboot. That doesn't bode well. Especially, okay, so now you're going to have the Thunderbolts director. I mean, I didn't see Thunderbolts. Maybe it's competently directed. Maybe it was the script that killed it. But all the noise is, oh, we're going to race swap a bunch of people. And Cynthia Erivo is going to be Storm. I would guarantee you 100% she will be gay if she is Storm. 100%. So I think that's not the way to go, Disney, but you don't listen to me anyway. And finally at Breitbart, more on Biden's cancer. Malia Obama accused of plagiarizing film for her Nike commercial. Uh-oh. That's no bueno. JC, people said Thunderbolts was fine. Problem is no one cares about the characters. Yeah, so maybe he's a decent director. But I don't know. All that race swapping and gender swapping, that doesn't sound good. Oh no. J.D. Vance meets the Pope. Run, Pope, run! Zelensky in Rome. Alright, going to entertainment. Someone should tell Bruce Springsteen that Johnny 99 would vote Trump. Yeah, Bruce Springsteen, again, is just too far gone with his TDS, man. Way out there. Way out there. He's really too old to be touring, in my view. Like a tour from Bruce Springsteen ought to be laid back, ought to be at the casino, in a nice room for 3 days. He plays the room and he just plays acoustic and maybe sings a couple of songs, tells some stories from the road. He's doing a full-blown concert in his 70s. Why? He's got millions of dollars. Millions and millions of dollars. Like, these guys just don't know anything else. Like, you do that for your entire life, you can't stop. Like, I'm never going to stop doing conventions, apparently, because that's all I ever do. Conventions and markets. Dear God, I'll be 80. Would you like to buy Pineys? That'll work, though, for my book. Because then I'll be crazy old Piney. Indie Phantom, what we learned, the streams are medicinal. Yes. I can finally make money that way. Healing the sick with my streams. Did you guys follow the Diddy trial? So here's 5 key moments from first week. All right. Defense. Combs is a violent jerk and a swinger, but not a sex trafficker. Okay. that seems to be the testimony, quite frankly. Indie Phantom. Springsteen is addicted to his ego. He will die on stage like a boss. He almost did. He fell down on the stage. JC. We learned Scarlett Johansson is mid. Oh, she is not. You shut your whore mouth. Jurors see video and photos of infamous LA hotel attack on Cassie. We've seen that. Cassie described the freak-offs in disturbing detail. Yeah, that was kind of gross. Indie Phantom. I do agree, JEC. She doesn't quite deserve S-tier honors that she often gets. Messages between Combs and Cassie show a complicated relationship, I guess. I don't think that really proves anything, because I think people, when they're in a relationship, sometimes, especially if the relationship is, there's a lot of money involved, they're just going to say what they need to say, because they don't want to stop that lifestyle. But JC, she C-tier tops? I'm going to assume you're talking about someone else. How dare you? How dare you? No healing stream for you, JC. Singer Dawn Richard recalls Combs beating Cassie. Again, none of this proves sex trafficking. So that was the whole trial this week. They basically proved Sean Combs is like the worst human being on the planet, but probably didn't do much illegal things as of yet. You got to prove he took prostitutes across state lines. That's basically what you got to prove. Mostly against their will. But there's no way. JC, being a degenerate and a Rico does not prove... What? Your sentence fell apart on that one. Being a degenerate, a Rico does not prove. Yeah, he needs... they need proof that he hired a prostitute or moved a prostitute across state lines. Then they'd have proof. Then he'd be cooked. Even if he only did it once, he'd be in big trouble. But JC proved he's a gay cuck, basically. Kanye is writing songs about it. Man, how super weird are both of them. Back when they first hit, did anybody suspect this? Like, I didn't. I thought, oh, here's another cool rap guy. I liked a couple of Diddy's songs. But now it's just like, oh, man. What a bunch of maniacs those guys are. Who would have thought 50 Cent is like super normal? He's the super normal one. He's just laughing. Every other day he comes out with a statement about how messed up it is. He's like 100% normal, that guy. JC, or if some of these people at the freak-offs were underage. Yeah, that's a possibility too. They were, like Justin Bieber, even if he was underage and had sex at one of these things, ain't no way he's copping to that. Ain't no way he's copping to anything. I say. He doesn't want to ruin what image he has. I would say, forget it. Indie Phantom, I couldn't go below a tier based on her rack around 2009. Not big on her face or voice, though. I don't know. You guys, you have your own taste. JEC, how into fashion design they were into should have been a red flag. I don't know. Rap guys are always into that, though. They're always super into the clothes and the money and the, like the weird thing about Diddy, though, was he just kept showing up in things, and I never understood why, because his music wasn't that popular, right? And then I read, he produced some of these guys, but I never recognized a lot of the people he produced And so the element I was missing was why everybody was so beholden to him, and then it had to be the parties. Like, that's why. Indie Phantom, mo money, mo problems. Bono gets hysterical over U.S. aid cuts, USAID. Kanye was into pink polo shirts. I don't remember that. Bono gets hysterical over USAID cuts. 1 million children dying because their life support systems were pulled out of the wall with glee. You got billions of dollars, Bono, or millions at least. Why don't you fund some of this stuff? You're so friggin' concerned. I think it was Bono who got the 7.5 minute standing O. He's the other guy. Yeah, they got some documentary about, I forget what. I want to say YouTube, but I don't think it was that. Indie Phantom. Bono is another bozo. Well, as they established on South Park, he's a POS. If you've ever seen that episode, there's a Randy taking the giant dump, the record-sized dump. It's one of the funniest episodes. JC, Irishman talking about how U.S. tax money should be spent. Yeah. Yeah, I love how everybody knows how to fix things and never can fix them. I know how to fix things. I'm a celebrity. Oh, well, why don't you do it? You have millions of dollars. Well, I can't. Shut up. Disney star Pedro Pascal drops F-bomb urging filmmakers to resist Trump. Because that makes sense. If only the filmmakers had resisted Trump, we wouldn't have all this prosperity. Filmmakers resist Trump. How? What are you talking about, you clown? Resist Trump. Oh, I'll write him into my movie. Yeah, that works out great. Ardent, home now at JEC, maybe combined with other stuff. Well, good. Ardent's back. Indie Phantom, Bono did not get a standing O for that movie he wrote, $1 Million Hotel. Mel Gibson was in it and said it was as boring as a dog's arse, which I never forgot. Wow. JC, why don't you buy the children some potatoes, Bono, if they're so hungry? Yeah, these guys got millions of dollars. He's not buying anybody anything as far as I can tell. Oh, what did you give, $100,000? What is Bono worth? Let's look up that. Bono, celebrity net worth. Place your bets. I'm going to say 600 million. Oh, close. 700 million. It's worth $700 million. That's a lot of potatoes. Indie Phantom, Pedro will be the scapegoat for FF flunking. I hope so, because maybe it'll end his career and I'll have to stop seeing him. Yeah, I don't think they can pin it on anybody else. None of the other guys in that movie are big enough. JEC, the blight was a long time ago, Bono. Potatoes are plentiful. Indie Phantom, Bono worth more than 50 cent. Oh my God. Yeah, 50 cent probably not worth this much. Let's see. 50 cent net worth. Oh yeah, he's worth, wow, he's 10 times or more. 50 cent. 50 cent's only worth 60. And he's friggin' retired, this guy. Basically retired. If I was worth $60 million, you wouldn't see me on a live stream. Hell no. Live stream? I'd be too busy living my life. I'd be way too busy for the internet, I'll tell you that. 60 mil? 700 mil. Oh my God. What would I do with $700 million? I'd 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 prop up every historical society in South Jersey. I'd probably save the Pine Barrens. I'd probably save that. Ardent, and yet I would rather sit down with 50 than Bono. Oh yeah, totally, totally. Bono was always kind of boring. I did a comedy sketch back in college about how boring Bono was. Let's see. The Breitbart Guide. Oh, that's nothing. Bill Maher. No way you can live in California on a normal salary. I'm not undertaxed here. Well, that's not going to solve the problem, you moron, but I get what you're saying. JEC. You two had been around 20 years before 50 Cent and kept touring after 50 Cent came and gone. Yep. Smoke some weed with 50. It'd be chill. At the club, at the club, at the club, at the club. Yeah, Bill Maher asking to be taxed. Okay, Bill. You're worth millions of dollars. I bet you could just leave then. Move to the border of Nevada and then have your limo driver drive you in every day when you do your show. Like, what the hell? That's not going to solve the problem. Gavin Newsom is wasting the money he has. California pulls in so much damn money, it could be its own country. And if it was its own country, I forget what the rating is. What would it be? The 7th biggest economy in the world, something like that? It's a massive economy, but they squander everything. And the biggest squandering, Gavin Newsom finally had to pull back on. JC, he's saying he's not undertaxed. He's saying the taxes are too much. Oh, you're right. I read that wrong then. I'm not undertaxed here. You're right. I apologize to my ex-boss. But Gavin Newsom is wasting the money. He's just wasting it. Ardent. Bill and Dinklage forgot the struggle, if they ever knew it. Oh, you deleted that. Yeah, either way, it's like Gavin Newsom, and look, this is part of the problem. They had a recall. They could have taken Newsom out and put in Larry Elder. Larry Elder was extremely reasonable Republican. He wouldn't have been super extreme at all. He's very smart. And instead, they called him a white supremacist, even though he's black. It's crazy. That's how crazed the people in Southern California are. They would rather elect anyone, even people who are literally killing them in their own state, figuratively speaking, than to elect a Republican ever. JC, this is why he fired you, Tony. Probably. Bad blood. Trump says Taylor Swift. I was not fired, by the way. No longer hot after his criticism. I don't know why Trump's going after Taylor Swift. I mean, women already hate Trump anyway, so it kind of doesn't matter. I find it hilarious. Pop star Lord says, I'm a woman except for the days when I'm a man. And as we all know, again from South Park, Lord is actually Randy Marsh of South Park, if you've ever seen that episode. This dropped this week. John Nolte, Disney's Plus Ironheart downvoted the teenage girl boss Iron Man no one asked for. JC, Taylor Swift is another one who is mid. On her, I agree. She has a flat ass. I've never seen anyone with as flat an ass as Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift could lean against the wall flush with her ass. It's so friggin' flat. But not as flat as the response to Ironheart, which got downvoted into oblivion. Way more downvotes than upvotes, and it looks terrible. And the worst crime against Marvel in this thing is that they're going to finally use Mephisto in the Ironheart show, who's played by Sacha Baron Cohen, and they're just wasting him. They're just wasting him on a character like Ironheart. Indie Phantom, I never found Taylor hot. Maybe had a good ass at one point. I'm glad we can all agree that Taylor Swift is mid. She's just mid. But man, you got to see the Ironheart trailer. It's pretty brutal. It's going to be the bossiest of girl bosses. It's going to be the Mary Sue of the Mary Sues. And the design on the armor is atrocious. I mean, it's the worst design. And I don't call out design much. But man, the design on that suit of armor is terrible. Like, beyond terrible. It's like, oh, well, you can't do Iron Man, so you got to change it. And we have to say it's better, even though it's not. Oh, it's bad. The colors are bad. The shape is bad. It makes zero sense. JC, is Ironheart a movie or a TV show? It's on Disney Plus. It's a TV show. I think it's 8 episodes. They already shot it as part of the problem. I think if they have any realist in the Disney execs lounge, they probably wanted to pull the whole thing, but they already spent the money. So this was, I think it was done a while ago, because it was announced to come out, I think before now, way before now. I want to say 2024, but it didn't, and it got jammed up, and now it's coming out, and it looks terrible. Ardent, technically Peter Fonda played Mephisto in the Ghost Rider Cage flick. Oh, right. I didn't see that, so I didn't know. Ardent, it chirps once every 30 seconds. Nice. Nice. That is funny. But yeah, it looks bad. I mean, it just looks bad. It is bad. Everything about it looks terrible. And then you watch the trailer, and the only reason I know Mephisto is in it is that leaked somewhere. It's not in the trailer, so they didn't even put Sacha Baron Cohen in the trailer. If you could imagine. Oh, who's the most famous person we got on the show? Oh, Sacha Baron Cohen's in it. Oh, great. Let's not put him in the trailer, so no one watches. Like, what? Why would you not put the biggest star in your show in the trailer? He's a movie star. He's an international movie star. He's from the UK. It's crazy. But yeah, it just looks terrible. Khan, dozens of celebs, including Joaquin Phoenix, signed letter falsely claiming Israel is targeting civilians. So we're going to get a bunch of Palestinian supporters, I guess, celebrities. Is that going to be the new... This'll friggin' kill Hollywood if this happens. If that's the new, thing du jour that the celebrities decide they're going to believe in, that is not going to bode well for them. Not to mention that, I mean, people are super sick of politics. I, for one, am super sick of it. I don't want to be involved in the Middle East at all. I would love to just pull out of it. And I think Trump's making moves that kind of do that and set up a new paradigm where we could mostly pull out of the Middle East unless it was our interest. But it's going to take years. But at least something's happening. I trust him to do some stuff. He seems to make progress. But my God, it's such a mess over there. The new pitch is they're going to take all the Gazans and they're going to move 1 million of them to Libya, which has got to be better than living in Gaza. I don't know how many are even left. Are there even 1 million people left in Gaza? Sounds like that would just about clean that place out. Ardent, I want to find a clip from the Ironheart trailer where the suit goes wrong and they cut in "Save me, Tom Cruise, save me, baby Jesus" outtakes from the Talladega Nights. That could be fun. It's not even worth parodying that thing because so few people, I think, are going to watch it. Ardent, just got to honor Cohen's Mephisto. Oh, okay. That would be funny. Justin Bieber, of course, announced he's not among Diddy's victims, according to his rep, which, you know, only a person who's not a victim would immediately come out and make a statement like this. And Kid Rock, this is a good one to end on. Kid Rock ties low U.S. birth rate to ugly-ass liberal women. That's a good one. I got to give him that one. I'm still a little pissed about the Bud Light thing he did and kind of went back on that, but I do think that's pretty funny. So, all right. What have we learned today? Well, we learned, of course, that my streams are soothing, medicinal, can cure people. Apparently, it cured Arden of whatever he had. So remember, if you care about your health, listen to my live stream, and possibly all my videos as well. You never know. Be safe. Follow and buy everything I do. What else? Khan is still Khan. They're still obsessing over standing ovations and comparing how long they last, as opposed to the quality of the movie. So good to know that. What else? Ardent's back home. Good on him. Ardent, we learned that whatever knocked me down let me get back up again and should be worried. Uh-oh. Ardent's going on a hunt. What else? Well, we learned the box office is now dominated by a horror movie, which is big news. They're going to make a ton of those movies, by the way. I mean, Final Destination, they made a ton of them, and it wasn't that big a hit, I think, when they made them. The original ones, I don't know. Movies were making more money then, so it's hard to compare, but they may have just launched a massive franchise. Ardent, we learned that Gen X still has a thing for Salma Hayek and Scarlett Johansson, who is not mid. Not mid. And we learned the usual about, we learned Joe Biden has several different cancers. And he will not receive any treatment for them whatsoever. Or he might. I mean, he might decide, I need the treatment, and then it'll probably kill him. But I think they're just waiting. I mean, they thought he was going to die while he was in office, I think. Ardent, Final Destination had original sequences, but not much else. JEC says something, but I can't read it. Can't read it. I don't know. My vision is blurry now. I have to listen to my own stream and heal my sight. Okay, it says mid. He's shouting mid. Just Scarlett Johansson. Ardent, we learn that in an emergency, Taylor Swift can be used as a javelin. Yeah, definitely not a flotation device. Perhaps she could be used to level a board. If you're trying to cut a board, make it nice and flat, you could use her ass, as a guide. You could take your pencil, across her ass, so you could draw the line before you cut. Measure twice, cut once. Ardent knows that. He's a woodworker. Ardent, good night, good week, and good luck. Thank you, Ardent, and be well. And be well, everybody who has listened to my stream, because you will be well, because it has healing properties, we found out tonight. Next week, what's going on? Next week, I'll be in the Flemington Book Fest and that goes to 5, so I might be a little late. But probably just book it at 7. That one usually collapses early. It's not too long to get home, but I might be a tad late next week. JEC says, don't die, Ardent. I don't think he will. I'm also doing a bunch of other stuff. Tomorrow I'm doing the Atlantic County Historical Society at Summers Point for Authors Night, so that should be fun. Then on May 22nd, I'm doing the White Horse Winery in Hamilton, New Jersey. May 23rd, United Methodist at Collingswood in Collingswood, New Jersey. May 24th, 4th Annual Richland Vintage Toy Fest. That's on Saturday from 8 to 3. And May 25th, the Flemington Summer Book Fest. So, Ardent, Tony DiGerolamo, Internet Healer. Ooh, I like that. At JEC, no promises. And let me give you all one last heal before we go. Heal, be healed. Be healed, my followers. Let all your troubles and aches and pains dissipate as you hear the sultry tones of the sound of my voice, so that you might know that Scarlett Johansson is the most beautiful woman in Hollywood. All right, that's it for me. I'm going to wrap up here. We'll see you next week, where we do it live at 7. Ardent, stop. That tickles me in a weird places, says Ardent. All right. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.